McCarthy. Take the handoff. And Alec Manis is going to throw a pick. They give it to Corum.
Up back. Corum. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Ruben Wilson does it again. Corum finds some daylight. He's got some speed and some blocker.
Outside. Turns the corner. Blake Corum down the sideline. Looking over the middle. Caught. Touchdown, Wolverine.
McCarthy extends the play. Now he uses legs. McCarthy a first down.
Who's got the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten? We'll talk about the top candidates in the top 5 Big Ten teams: Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, Penn State, and USC. That's according to Athlon Sports. What happened? Are you okay over there?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just clapping. The crowd was clapping. I'm clapping with them. I feel good.
It was like a slow clap.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe you got upset with me. All right.
Always.
We're also going to talk about an update on Greg Scruggs. ESPN tightens their grip on the college football playoffs, and turns out Jim Harbaugh will not escape the NCAA sanctions if, in fact, the hammer does come down. Mac, did you remember the hammer?
I was supposed to bring the hammer?
You were supposed to bring the hammer, yeah.
Crap.
We do have a bit of a weird delay on your video, too. That's kind of weird.
Oh.
But that's all right.
Draw a picture of a hammer.
Okay. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Looks like we've got Blue Wolverine is here. Antoine is here. Go Blue is here, and saying go Bucks for some reason. I don't know what's going on there, but we'll let him have it.
No.
Welcome to the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show. We're not insiders. We're not professionals. As you know, we're just fans who like to talk to fans about football. We love doing this. We love talking to you guys. We want to make football fun again. I am your host, Cliff Richardson. I am a web developer, professional web developer, amateur woodworker, trying to be enthusiastic on a late night podcast. Mac is here. Mac, tell us about yourself.
All right. So my name is Mackenzie, and occasionally I receive messages from the football gods. And today I have received a message, and I understand why now I did not bring the hammer with me. It's because I received this message from the football gods. The hammer is never going to drop.
Oh.
There is no hammer, according to the football god. That's not from me. That's not from me. Okay? No. I'm not special. They just told me.
All right. That's fine. Hey, we have... Thank you, Blue Wolverine.
Oh, hey, all right.
Hail to the victors right out of the gate. Thank you very much.
Really? You watched that last 2 minutes and thought, yeah, I better give them money. That's a good idea.
Yeah, we need something. That video is just something weird's going on over there.
What did I do? I'm sorry.
I don't know. Okay. Actually, Antoine's already talking here, too. What do you got? More disrespect for Michigan. I find it strange that Texas is so good they can just come into the big house and win, but you had trouble with Washington. Oh, I don't believe it. It's not as good as Michigan today. I don't believe it either. Texas isn't going to come into the big house and beat Michigan. No.
Jeez, no.
Before we get into this too far, don't forget, obviously you guys are already on the chat, so that's good. Keep talking on the chat. We're going to get to those as we go. I don't know. Anyway, I was going to say, let us know where you're from. I don't know. I always feel like we have to have some sort of weird icebreaker, like you used to have like in youth group, like what's your favorite pizza topping? But it's whatever. You guys can talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Last week, we were at 691 subscribers. This week, we are at 706. Going for that 750. We are almost there. Appreciate all you guys out there subscribing. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you are, give it a like. Spread it around. It's free. It's a good deal. We're here to entertain you, and you can talk to us. And it's free. Did I mention free? Mac, how much does the show cost?
Well, it costs Blue Wolverine $2, but for everyone else, it's technically free.
So we hope everybody's having fun out there.
Yes. Please have fun.
Please have fun. All right, you ready to go to the community poll?
I'm ready. Let's do it. Bring it up.
Let's do this. Let's get started. Here we go. And again, my fantastic graphic. You know what? Oh, I forgot. I wanted to put this out there. If we have any graphic designers who may be watching and you would like to showcase your work, you can see we need help. So if you would like to come up with a new graphic for my community poll slide, feel free. And we will put it up there. And I'll give you credit. Not money, but credit.
Credit. We'll give you a lot of credit.
We're giving them a lot of credit.
Yeah. So much credit.
So much credit. So the first poll, which is a little sad, Are the Oakland Golden Grizzlies America's basketball team? 67 votes, 67% said, duh. And they lost yesterday.
Yeah, to NC State. I was going to go to NC State for my doctorate degree. I applied there.
Yeah.
I visited there. I talked to like 4 or 5 different professors and said, hey, I drove the freaking 14 hours to get there with my wife in the car. I don't know if she knows her name, so I understand I'm saying my wife to you and you're my dad, but that's what I'm saying. Anyway.
I know who you're talking about.
Oh, and then they said, no, you can't come here. And I was just like, it's probably because I'm from Michigan and everyone knows that people in the South don't like people from Michigan. So
it is a nice campus though. We went down there too. My wife and I, your mother.
Yes.
Went down there also and looked around, not in any relation or connection to that. We were just in North Carolina and we thought, hey, let's walk around the campus. And we did. And it's a nice campus.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, I think we went to the, what's the thing you look at the stars?
Planetarium.
Yes. That was really cool. Ferris says, hey, all. Hey, Ferris. Hey. And, Connor Stallions is back.
Hey, Connor.
Hey, Connor. Good to see you guys. So the other poll is, can a quarterback be considered mid even if he won a national championship? Example. And you had a fair, so it actually evened out. 64 votes, 64 said yes, and 38% out of 64 votes, 38% said yes, 38% they won a natty even if they were mid. Who cares? That's why everybody thought you were talking about JJ being mid.
Yes. And I completely understand that. I didn't even think, like, I understand that I wrote it that way. It wasn't, I knew that I was writing it that way because that's my opinion, is like, they won a national championship. Who cares if the quarterback is mid? Like, he won a natty, but JJ is not mid. So that wasn't my point. JJ is not mid. Okay. I fully expect him to go top 5 overall in the draft, but still, even if he were mid, like if Cade McNamara won a national championship at Michigan, I was going to say freaking and I stopped at freak. Not Cade McNamara. Cade McNamara is not a freak. But if he freaking won a national championship at Iowa, is he still mid? You know? And I don't think he's a mid quarterback either. I think, like, I understand he doesn't have the legs JJ does, but he's got an arm and he's got the pocket presence. He's a smart guy.
And he is on our list for, well, no, he's not on our list because Iowa is not one of the top 5 teams, but
no, because they've got a 9-game win total.
Right.
For 2024.
But he's still a good quarterback though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I like this one from Easy Money. Another word for mid is game changer for a QB. Just make the right decisions, take advantage of the talent around you. A good QB doesn't always have to have a great arm. That I think he's absolutely right on that one. And I think that's what JJ did, frankly. I think JJ did that, and the his name escapes me. Who was the quarterback at Washington?
Michael Penix.
Michael Penix does that.
Yeah.
They're calm in the pocket and they get the job done. They don't have to be flashy.
Yeah, but both of them were. I mean, JJ
actually the national championship they got kind of flashy, but you kind of expect that. But
well, and actually, I don't even think that the national championship was JJ's flashiest. He only had 2 quarterback runs. You know,
sure.
and I don't think that he was even all that flashy in the Rose Bowl. Honestly, this season was like kind of tame compared to some of the things that we know he can do. As weird as this sounds, I have gone back through, I have looked at JJ's tape, and he has had some epic games. But I think if you look at how epic he is playing, and this is an actual metric that you can measure a football player's talent level by, is level of epicness. And you compare that's a joke. And you compare that to the level of competition he was going up against. So JJ has had a lot of really epic games, but a lot of those were against weaker competition. He has had a lot of really good games that were against really good competition. The one game where I think he was both playing epically and the level of competition was really good is actually last year's TCU game. and I understand I'm about to be that guy. Take away the 2 pick sixes. But really, though, I mean, take away the fact that he made a couple of sophomore plays in a national on the national stage in his first time in a playoff game, first time starting a playoff game, first year starting quarterback kind of a thing. Take away those 2 pick sixes.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch the tape, he actually looks amazing. Like, he has some great plays. He scores touchdowns, like multiple touchdowns with his legs and his arm. I think with his legs. In any case, he was absolutely a dual threat all throughout that game. Unfortunately, some of that threat was against Michigan. But but whatever. They got the natty now, and we're fine. We can live that down. Some of my Texas coworkers were a little bit happy about that last season. They're not too happy now. But whatever. No. But anyway, yeah. So I think the TCU game is actually his most epic game, if you can believe it.
All right, Connor Stallion's piped up here. He's got a number of statements. Go Bucks, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, I'll buy that one.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
Yep. Iowa stuck in the 1972 offense. Here's, though, I think going to what you're talking about, why would you rather, as a season stat for a QB, 25 touchdowns, 7 picks, or 31 touchdowns, 20 picks? Easy question.
25 touchdowns, 7 picks. Are you kidding me? Oh, my goodness, yeah. Not even close, jeez.
Yeah, because those turnovers turn over the game. That's...
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Antoine says the reason JJ stock is going up is because he's coming from a pro-style system. What people don't realize in other systems, most of the time QBs go off of pre-snap reads, unlike a pro-style system. Yeah, because JJ was able to catch up pretty quickly and make change the read and change the play. Yeah,
that's true. He did have,
excuse me,
I think it was the Rose Bowl. Yeah, I think something that came out about the Rose Bowl was that Michigan, on every single play but one, had motion before the snap and then audibled a majority of the time based on JJ's read of the defense. But then his ability to understand how the defense is playing post snap take a second to identify where the linebackers are coming, which gaps they're coming from, and be able to roll out of the pocket in whatever direction he needs to. Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely got that ability. Thing is he never really needed to use it at Michigan because it wasn't often that the other team was able to get penetration against Michigan's O-line. So a lot of people, I actually kind of understand why a lot of people call JJ mid. And I think it's because JJ was never asked to do everything that he is capable of at Michigan. The Penn State game is the biggest example of this. Penn State was sending Chop Robinson, their linebacker, every single play to blitz, every single time Michigan dropped back to pass. So what does Sharon Moore decide to do? He decides to run, 32 straight runs against the nation's #1 running defense at the time?
Right.
And they couldn't stop it.
Yep.
So JJ didn't need to do everything that he's capable of. Why? Because the rest of the team was just that good.
Right. Yeah, that's when they knocked him, saying he couldn't pass. And we kept saying, you don't have to pass if you can win on the ground.
Yeah. I don't understand why anyone's surprised that a quarterback went to Michigan and didn't throw as much as he possibly could have.
Yep.
Like under Harbaugh, of course he didn't.
Right.
And probably the same thing will be said for Sharon Moore, too. I don't think that he's going to deviate way too much from that.
Right. Buckeyes Battle Cry. Hey, Buckeyes Battle Cry. He commented and said, shoot, many average quarterbacks have won Super Bowls. I saw that comment and I went, oh, like Tom Brady. Because really, okay, so I was looking over the stats, but Tom Brady and Jim Harbaugh, although I don't think Jim Harbaugh won a Super Bowl as a player.
Yeah, well, he hasn't as a coach, at least.
Right. I don't think he did as a player either. But Tom Brady obviously is the greatest of all time in the NFL. But where would you put him as a college player? I mean, he's probably top 10 at Michigan, maybe even top 5. But where would he land as a college player nationally?
At
because
the time,
he was,
or like overall?
yeah, at the time he was playing, because he was in the what round draft? 6th round draft pick.
Yeah, 6 or 7.
So I mean, that actually puts him below mid.
Well, I mean, I don't know that his draft position is really what you can go off to determine whether or not Tom Brady was mid or not during his time at Michigan. But I think the fact that he
but I
was,
think that's what we're talking about here, though. Because if you were talking about JJ, he was a mid quarterback at college. Now we're talking about, well, I'm not saying he was a mid quarterback, but if the question is if he was a mid quarterback at college, does that mean he won't be a good NFL player? Because
No.
that's the transition. So does Tom Brady fall in that same category? Was he essentially a mid or maybe above average college player, and then turned out to be the greatest of all time NFL player, pro player?
Well, I think that's what played out. Yeah, I think that Tom Brady is the best quarterback to have ever played the game, at least professionally.
Yeah.
Now, the metric for that might be changing now that we've got some really run-heavy quarterbacks coming into the league. Mahomes is really good. Mahomes is just amazing. I mean, he's an artist. I mean, the guy is crazy good, even if the refs are protecting him unnecessarily by throwing random flags for sniffing him. Anyway, I don't recommend sniffing Patrick Mahomes. Anyway, Lamar,
or anybody else for that matter.
Or anybody else. Don't do that. You'll get in trouble for that. I'm just saying, like, there's this channel on YouTube that, like, the refs are controlling the game, or the NFL script and stuff like that. And they've got a couple of videos about Patrick Mahomes, like when you try to tackle Patrick Mahomes and the refs just looking at you like, don't do that. And who's the quarterback for the Ravens right now? Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. He's really good. But he's another example of a quarterback. I mean, they're going,
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. I was going to say that, and that didn't seem right. Maybe I was thinking of Jameis Winston for some reason.
Go with your gut.
But anyway, I guess I got to go with my gut. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it seemed like the NFL was kind of moving towards that, but now you've got like players like Jared Goff for the Lions, who's actually playing really well as a pocket passer. You've got people like oh my gosh, Baker Mayfield. Wow, names are just gone today. Baker Mayfield for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think he's that much of a dual threat necessarily. I know he can run, but I don't know. That would be interesting. But in terms of like, would Tom Brady be considered like a top 5 quarterback back in 1997? Nationally speaking, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think that he would have. But wait, that was 97, wasn't it? Aren't you?
Oh, that's a good question.
No. Brian Greasy was 97.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I'm stupid.
95 to 99.
95 to 99. Yeah. Okay. So Tom Brady was not the starter until what, 98 or 99? He had,
I think it was only the last 2 years. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He had a comeback victory against Alabama. But yeah, I guess, 1998, 1999, I still don't think that he'd be top 5. And I don't even really know who else was playing in 98 and 99. But whatever. That's just me.
Here's a good one. Old Timer 56. Hey, Old Timer. I'm almost afraid to ask unless Old Timer is 56. And if that's how old timers are,
you're in trouble.
Ouch, I'm in trouble. Yeah. A great QB is someone who leads his team and understands what needs to be done to win. When you add talent to those abilities, you have an elite QB. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
I agree with that too.
Now, okay, I'm not sure this one has anything to do with what we're talking about. I don't know who Carmelo English is.
Oh, he's a wide receiver from Michigan. He's transferring.
Oh, transferring out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's a huge loss. One, because he's a wide receiver, and we know that Michigan wide receivers are generally not as utilized as much as they could be. And right. Two, because when I heard his name, I said, who?
Yeah.
Michigan's
in serious trouble. They lost him.
They lost Carmelo English.
That's what comes
No,
out of
I
it.
wish he hadn't transferred. Like I bet he's probably pretty good. Otherwise, Harbaugh wouldn't have offered him. But whatever.
Oh, that, and he must know the QB is absolutely going to be a step down this year. Well, okay, we're going to get into that. We'll get into that.
Okay, all right.
Let's see here. We can get a couple more of these. 32 out of 33 next plays were runs. The one pass was a PI. Some of them team in red. Fans don't understand. Easy team, not about me. All right. Let's see here. UConn basketball.
What?
Wait a minute. UConn basketball is just playing on easy mode. Tom was a 6th round, 199th overall pick. Yeah, he was back there. He also ran a 5.2740. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was good. He didn't set records in Michigan, but he's in like the top 5 in a couple of records.
Yeah, I mean, for passing yards,
right?
I think. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, we should look that up real quick. Whatever. It doesn't matter. We can look that up another time.
Rico says, "I love that we will keep running the rock. It has worked out great for us. I don't know why people care if it works. Yeah, if it works, it works.
Yeah, exactly."
Okay, wait a minute. I got to see a couple of these here. Coincidentally, and this is from Antoine, coincidentally, Texas coach is the same way. That's why they lost to Washington. Oh, that's the same. Okay, Texas coach is the same. They were running the ball for 5 and 6 yards of carry, but they do the ball like idiots. Oh my goodness.
Horns down.
Here we go. All right. Oregon coach is stupid like that too. Now hold on. This is our fellow Big Ten team.
So. All right. I have a correction.
What?
Chad Henne holds the record for passing yards at Michigan with 9,715 during his career from 2004 to 2007.
Goodness gracious.
That's a lot of yards.
That's a lot of yards for college football. Yeah.
Yep.
Excuse me. Whoop. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I skipped one. Here we go. Okay, so moving on to viewer comments. We had a couple of good ones this week.
And a couple of really mean ones.
Yeah, actually, we had a lot of comments. You know what I wanted to say too? We've actually gotten to a point where we're getting enough comments on the videos that it's in a lot of cases hard to keep up. We try to both. We've got both Mac and I can answer comments, and we do our best. So if we missed yours, I apologize. We're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
The one I liked here. User DV3D010D2R, that has to stand for something. I've tried to read it out, but I think it's just random. But he has commented on a lot of stuff, and he's given us a hard time on a lot of things. But I love this. This is talking about Tony Alford. This is from the Ohio State journalist's meltdown over Tony Alford exit, and he said that Tony Alford is actually a secret double agent sent to spy on Michigan. So he's going to go back and report to Ohio State. I just thought that one was funny.
I think that's probably true.
It might be. I mean, in today's world, yeah.
Well, I mean, we know that Ryan Day has started incorporating Cold War tactics into the rivalry by impermissibly accessing practice footage from that one, whatever place it was that houses all the practice footage. Why does one place house all the practice footage?
Well, they're contracted for it. So they don't hold the practice footage for every team. They only hold the practice footage for teams they're contracted with.
Yeah, but okay, so like some, idiot hacker with nothing else to do decides, I'm going to hack into this place's systems and download all the practice footage, and I'm going to sell it.
Yep.
And teams would buy. I can think of a lot of teams, SEC, that would buy things like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, there's probably some good money in black market practice footage dealing.
Yeah. Okay, Otis John Jr., he makes an interesting point here that's worth talking about. And he's talking about Tony Alford, why he would have left Ohio State for Michigan. He says, this is the reason for a running back coach to leave the Ryan system, rushing yards per year while Coach Alford was at OSU. Notice the drop-off after Meyer and J.K. Dobbins left the program. So you can see how they were running 3,000, 4,000 yards there and then dropped back down to sub 3,000 after 2020. So at that point, I didn't work out the averages like what that means, but you're talking about at the high point there, you're talking about 2,000 less yards, which is, as we just said, that's a lot of yards for a college team. So if they weren't utilizing him, it makes sense that he's looking at Michigan saying, wait a minute, Michigan runs the ball all the time. I'll get a lot of work over there, or I'll get to use my guys and utilize my squad. But what do you think about that? What are you seeing there?
Look, there's a couple of different angles you can take this. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking at those numbers, 2015, 2016, 2017 are all over, or they're all 3,500 yards ish or over. That's insane. That means you have to have multiple running backs going over 1,000 yards. I don't think Michigan has really had a lot of 1,000-yard rushers in the last, call it 10 years, even with as much as they run the ball. Why? Because they run a really slow offense. So they don't really have they don't run as many plays to kind of rack up those amount of yards. This means that under Urban Meyer, they were running, when they ran that really fast-paced offense, which they did under Urban Meyer, they ran super duper fast. Mm-hmm. They have a lot more plays per game, which gives them a lot more of an opportunity to run the ball or throw the ball. So they have to have multiple 1,000-yard rushers on the team from 2015 to at least 20. Well, probably all of these, honestly. Mm-hmm. But in any case, yeah, I mean, as soon as Ryan Day takes over, you've got 4,000 yards in 2019. Who was the quarterback in 2019? That was Justin Fields, I think. I'm trying to decide if Justin Fields was the quarterback, would they have relied more on the run game then? I'm really not sure, but I know J.K. Dobbins was just insane. I mean, J.K. Dobbins was running over everybody. But then as soon as 2021 and 2022 and 2023 hit, yeah, there's a noticeable drop off in running back production for sure. But you got to take these yards and you got to think like, okay, they're also trying to pass the ball a lot more under Ryan Day's system, which is precisely why they brought somebody in like Chip Kelly. A little bit of reading I've done on Chip Kelly is that he really likes to throw the ball. So yeah, if I'm Tony Alford, I'm saying exactly like what you said. There's no running the ball in this system here. I'm going to go to Michigan where that's basically all they do is run the ball. So of course he's going to do that. Right. The second thing I was going to mention is maybe this is actually kind of going towards what we've been saying about the rivalry not meaning as much anymore, is because Tony Alford is willing to go to Ohio State's most hated rival for a business decision. Mm-hmm. I mean,
well, and that could be. I wonder at that level, we talk about it as fans, but I wonder if at the professional level, they're like, yeah, well, we trade people back and forth. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Bo Schembechler worked for Woody Hayes and he's, the Michigan man.
Okay. So maybe it just doesn't mean as much it doesn't matter as much to the coaches when it's like, okay, this is your livelihood. This is your career.
I think at the professional level, it means something on the field, but I think they do the right thing off the field. It's, you leave it on the field, you leave it on the ice, you leave it on the field, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's certainly upset a lot of people.
Well, yeah.
Tony Alford coming over. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Justin Fields, by the way. He was the quarterback in 2019.
Okay. Yeah. I know they were kind of frustrated with Justin Fields, I think, back in 2019, 2020.
This is a good one. This is where it would be nice if we had the sound effects. We start playing. Tony Alford is the double agent. Dun, 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 dun. Antoine says, those other teams better hope that Michigan doesn't put Orgy on the field. With that RPO game, teams were just barely stopping our regular running game. What happens when they have to account for Orgy? Yeah, and he's a tank.
He's a big guy, and he's gotten reps. He got reps over the bowl practice imitating Jalen Milroe, and apparently did it pretty well.
Right.
So if he's got reps imitating Jalen Milroe, then maybe Sharon Moore is looking at that like, hey, we've got our own sort of Jalen Milroe on the roster.
Yep.
I mean, he could morph into that kind of quarterback and end up being really good.
Yeah. I think Antoine agrees with you about slowing the game down, to not to mention the clock is running now, so you won't get as many plays, and that's part of Michigan's strategy, to slow the game down and drag you into the mud where they can beat you up.
Precisely.
Which is what they did last year, and that's where mid-season Minnesota coach PJ Fleck said that they just held them down and beat them to death. And that's where the boa constrictor analogy came from PJ
Joe
Klatt.
Joel Klatt. Yeah, you're right. I thought PJ Fleck made that reference too, but yeah, no, you're right.
Did he? I know it was Klatt, at least, for sure.
Oh yeah, well, Klatt definitely said that.
Yep. Old timer again. Orji threw 28 touchdowns his senior year with a lot of big explosive plays. He has a big arm, but I saw a lot of touch. Also, it will be tough for a team to defend Orji with RPOs. That's cool. Did you see Orji in high school? That's kind of wild.
I've not seen.
Well, I'm wondering if old timer here saw Orji play in high school.
Oh, or if maybe he saw tape or something.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know where Alex Orji is from.
Isn't he from Michigan? Well, we can look that up too.
Well, you skipped one of Antoine's, and he actually makes a good point. Not actually,
Chip Kelly
sorry.
One?
Yeah, Antoine, you make a lot of good points, man. Sorry. The words aren't great with me tonight. Yeah.
Good with the words and putting them together and making them groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Chip Kelly, I feel your pain. Chip Kelly does not change Ohio State's running game that much. He runs outside zone and stretch plays. It's basically Ohio State has already ran, but whatever.
Okay, so it's spreading the offense out a lot more. So that kind of feels a little bit spread offense-y. But either way, that's still, I mean, that's still a heavy reliance on the quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he throws some stuff like out to the flat for the quarterbacks or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know a lot about like the plays and, all that kind of stuff. I just know what I'm watching, and what I watch from, well, I haven't watched a lot of UCLA or Chip Kelly. So whatever. I didn't think I needed to, because I didn't think UCLA was coming to the Big Ten or him. Yeah. But whatever.
Hey, I remember watching them in the 80s. Nobody ever expected UCLA to come to the Big Ten.
Because it doesn't make sense. But whatever. Whatever. In any case, yeah, all right. So if he runs stretch plays and stuff, that sounds spread offense like to me, which,
yeah.
I mean, okay, go for it. See if it works.
All right. Orji is apparently from Texas.
Okay.
Going to Rico.
Tough kid.
And yeah, Old Timer says to watch the senior tape highlights. I'm assuming that's something we can find on YouTube. We'll have to look for that. I would be interested to see it. Normally the high school tapes are so different compared to what they do in college. It's like it doesn't matter anymore. But I think nowadays it's there's not as much difference, because some of those high schools, especially in Texas, I mean, Texas and Georgia are football states.
Yes.
Like the way hockey is up here in Michigan, football is in Texas and Georgia.
Yeah. And that's why northern teams have always needed to extend their recruiting pipelines into the southern states. And that's honestly getting easier and easier now, thanks to things like NIL. And, they can go and be starters somewhere because the game is a national game, whereas all the southern kids stay in Georgia, Alabama, Florida, and stuff like that. They can get, opportunities at Michigan.
Right.
Yeah.
Connor Stallions is bringing up the D-line coach search. Let's jump to our first story.
Let's do it.
Michigan defensive line coach Greg Scruggs resigns following OWI arrest. Sure, everybody has heard this already. So what we wanted to talk about, so this is what Sharon Moore said last week, was that he just received notice that Greg Scruggs has resigned his position effective immediately. I'm sorry, that wasn't the last week quote. That was the this week quote. He resigned effective immediately. He's unable to comment further as this is a university matter. So the article on Maize and Brew went into it a little bit more. This is what happened. According to the police report, he had his hazards on at the corner of East Williams and 5th Avenue. I know where that is. That's kind of fun. Around 2:15 a.m. When he was stopped by police. So I'm guessing So we had speculated because it was an OWI that maybe he was just sitting in the car. So here he is at an intersection. He is driving. He said he'd been at the Chop House and had a couple of drinks. I don't know what the Chop House is. I'll have to look into that. He refused a breathalyzer and then blew a .16, which is apparently twice the legal limit in Michigan.
It is.
5 minutes later, he blew a .17.
What?
I don't know how, but that's in the police report. So he was, in fact, arrested at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's resigned. He wasn't fired, I guess. He did resign. So I want to say, there was a good move on his part, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, you've done all these dumb things and now you're resigning. So it's kind of like, I don't know, they had a choice. It was either resign or get fired. So I suppose there is some quality there to say that he resigned rather than waiting to get fired.
Yeah.
But that's the deal. One of the things that still draws me to this story is that he is 33 years old. So, I mean, he's just a couple years older than you.
Mm-hmm.
He had the opportunity to coach at Michigan. And he's already coached at, where did he come from? Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I think he came from Wisconsin. And so that's a big school. Now he got a chance to coach at Michigan. His career was on a fantastic trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not over. I'm not saying it's over. It ain't over till it's over. But he definitely has to start over. He's got a lot of ground to cover, to rebuild, to get back to where he is or where he was just a week ago.
I mean, he's got to go to rehab, get his certificate and all that he's in rehab or completed rehab or something like that. And then he's got to maybe hope that a JUCO will take him. Maybe a D3 junior college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe a D3 college would take him. Yeah. And then you just kind of got to build up from there, but you're not going to get a high profile job for quite a while until people can see that your behavior has changed and they can see some consistency. But man, like you said, you had the chance to coach at Michigan, and freaking, like Connor Stallions is pointing out here, Uber exists. Oh, Rico says that Uber exists. Lyft exists. Your friends who are sober, probably, that you can call exist. What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Like, you might be a nice guy, but like, too many people every year get hurt by drunk drivers. And you can't do that. You can't do that. And you can't be surprised that when you're put in charge of trying to educate young men on how to become, men, and how to become good football players and build their career, but also building, men for life and stuff like that. You can't be surprised when you get arrested for an OWI and that gets you fired.
Right.
So, and I don't think he was surprised. It sounds like he was really upset about it. But then why do it?
Yeah, where he was mentally, whether, what he thought of himself, if it's a drinking problem or if it's an attitude problem, who knows? But either way, just like you're saying, it's a shame given the trajectory he was on, what he was going to be able to do, and now he's got to rebuild his reputation. It's going to take a long time to rebuild his reputation. It's almost, I was just thinking of, that line that's, life is hard. It's harder when you're stupid.
Yes.
It's easy to ruin your reputation. It's easier when you're drunk.
Exactly.
I mean, all things in moderation. You gotta, let this story of Greg Scruggs be a symbol to everyone out there who is maybe in this situation. Get it figured out now.
Yeah, if you have a problem with drinking, you figure it out now before it's going to cause you, even worse issues down the line.
Right.
But in terms of who's taking over for Greg Scruggs,
this is the big question, because I looked it up. I still don't think they have anybody. What did you find?
Nothing. Literally nothing. I've been refreshing Twitter all week. I've been looking at ESPN. I've been staying up to date on some of the Michigan message boards and stuff like that. There's nothing. Nobody knows anything.
I mean, as far as where do you go to find the coach? Iowa.
Sure. Yeah,
Who's
why
got
not?
the best defense in the country?
Consistently, year after year.
Who has
Or
won games with their defense? Literally.
do it. Make whoever Iowa's D-line coach is, make him say no. Why not?
Yeah.
Or Penn State's. Penn State had the best
Yeah.
running defense in the country last year for at least 5 minutes or so. Make their D-line coach say no. Their D-line was fantastic. Yeah. Make Ohio State's. You already got Tony Alford.
Yeah. You've got the clout. Michigan has the clout. National championship, yes. Reigning national champs, reigning Big Ten champs. He has the clout to go and get whoever he wants. I mean, they might say no. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he can, just say, "Hey, you're my coach now." But he has the clout to go to anybody without getting laughed at.
Coaches.
No. Right, for sure. I'm just saying it's not like, it's not like Indiana can go anywhere and say, "Hey, we want you to be our coach." They don't have that kind of clout. Michigan does now.
That's true. Yeah. But they should really open things up for this particular search too, though. I mean, look at South Dakota State is the one that's constantly in the FCS championships.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure it's mostly because of their defense.
Yeah.
So why not? Why not talk to the guy from Iowa? Talk to the guy from Ohio State. See if you can get Tony Alford to write your recommendation. Like, bro, you should come to Michigan. It's so much better. So much better.
Rico says, we thought we were getting stability with Schroen, and we got the exact opposite. I'm very fearful of this transfer window.
All right, hold up.
Yeah, I was going to push back a little bit on that too. I think there actually has been more stability than you think, because it's the entire offensive line, or the entire offensive coaching staff is basically, they were already at Michigan. They just moved up. Now, I know it looks bad because a lot of the coaches went with Harbaugh. Jay Harbaugh actually went to the
Seahawks, right?
The Seahawks, yeah. Which I actually thought was pretty interesting, but that's a story for another time. But I think there actually has been more stability than we think. And in fact, I think, was it Edwards? Donovan Edwards basically said, the players don't want to leave. We've had a couple of players leave, but they were like second tier, third tier, who weren't going to get a lot of game time, or they didn't expect they were. Not that they're bad players, not that they're turncoats. I'm not saying anything like that. Kids can do what they got to do. Yeah. But anyway, that's my thought. What were you going to say?
I don't remember. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. You are getting stability with Schroen more. I mean, you are. I think that the most important thing in terms of stability is that the philosophy stays consistent. The football philosophy. Now, Schroen Moore is going to bring his own nuances to it, and I really hope he does, because it sounds like they're already looking at some extra things with NIL. He's opening up some NIL opportunities, which is great. That's something that Jim Harbaugh had a bit of an issue with, probably because he was so focused on revenue sharing, which I've got some thoughts on. But anyway, but the overall idea is that the philosophy remains intact at Michigan. Schroen Moore has been at Michigan for all of the 3 years that Michigan was good. So, and they were good before that, but I mean, like, national title contenders good, and then national championship. Mm-hmm. So everything about that is a really good sign. And the fact that Michigan then mostly promoted from within and only went outside to get a couple of guys, I think for the most part, Wink Martindale was a really good outside hire. I think that's paramount, because some of the guys on the defensive side that were hired up are still really young. So they need a mentor to kind of teach them the ropes a little bit. And he's basically, like he said, the OG of the defensive philosophy at Michigan right now. So that was just a phenomenal outside hire. There was one more, and I can't remember who it is, but whatever. Anyway, the point is that the philosophy is intact. The players are staying for the most part. I don't think we have anything to be afraid of. Now, if players start leaving during the spring transfer window,
right,
then we can talk. But until then, one coach who has had a history with alcohol abuse, all of a sudden, or now having an issue with alcohol abuse at Michigan, that's not surprising, unfortunately. You wanted better for the guy for sure, but I mean, it historically speaking, it makes sense.
there was, speaking of the transfer window, there was the one guy who commented on a video saying that, well, okay, let me step back. As soon as Harbaugh left, the transfer window opened for 30 days, right? They get
Yes.
as soon as they leave, as soon as a coach leaves, there's a complimentary transfer window. And that's when two guys left. I think that's when Keon Sabb left. And the one other guy. I forgot his name. Anyway, but they didn't lose a lot of guys, but the one comment was that it was too late in the season, that you weren't likely to see a lot of movement. So it will be interesting, I guess, from that perspective to see when the spring window opens, if any guys will leave. If that happens, if a lot of guys jump ship in spring, then Rico has a point.
Yeah, but I mean, players are already announcing intentions to hit the transfer portal. Carmelo English announces that he's transferring. So if players want to transfer, they can say so now. I don't know if they can necessarily, but they can at least say so now.
Yeah, they can at least put the feelers out.
Yeah, and
although they can't be contacted, though, that's the problem. If they get contacted before the transfer window opens, that's what Ohio State just admitted to.
But is that because they weren't on, like, even they hadn't even announced their intention to transfer? Or is it because
the one guy, so the one allegation that Ohio State admitted to, the guy did say he was thinking of transferring, and so the coach from Ohio State talked to him. The rule, you can't talk to him until the transfer window opens and they're on the list.
Okay, well,
so from what I understand, maybe I'm misreading it, but that's what I understand, and that's why they had the self-reporting of that allegation.
And maybe you can get on the list before the actual window opens. Maybe the window is for academic reasons, because schools, I mean, you can't just transfer in the middle of the spring term. That's insane. Yeah. But as soon as the spring window opens, the spring transfer window opens, then fine, go ahead and transfer. But maybe what you can do is, like, during the spring term, you can say, I fully intend to transfer as soon as the window opens. And then your intention to transfer, or because I think all you have to do is, like, send in paperwork to the NCAA and give your intention to them, and then they put you on the list, and then coaches can start contacting you then. You just can't actually transfer until the window opens, and I'm betting that's probably for academic purposes. But again, I don't know. So if that's not right, then I'm just a guy. So whatever.
Let's grab a couple more here. Okay, so Antoine said Michigan might already have someone to teach the defensive line. They might get the guy from the Ravens, Parnell, to teach them on an interim basis.
There you go.
That might be nice. I don't know if that line is open to the Ravens anymore now that Harbaugh's gone. But
no, they still have that one because Sherrone Moore's got a connection with him.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, whether or not John Harbaugh will got to stop the J names, guys. Got to switch it up. All right. I understand we're about 40 years too late on this, but what were you thinking? Anyway, John Harbaugh.
Jack, John, Jim, Jay.
Isn't it Jack and Jackie?
I think it is. Yeah, I think so. What are you going to do?
But John, the guy who coaches the Ravens, that guy might not want to give up his players anymore because, Jim's in the league and he's got to make sure that he beats Jim. So otherwise Thanksgiving gets awkward. Of course, it's still awkward.
Scruggs just needs to get out of coaching and really address the alcoholism issues. Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm.
I remember tweeting, this is from Antoine, I remember tweeting Moore before he came coach to stock up on coaching talent, so therefore all you have to do is pull them out of your own bag of coaches. He seems like he's listening to me. All right. Antoine is our insider.
Hey, we're finally insiders. All right.
Oh, what do we got here? Okay, so Connor Stellians says assistant D-line coach at the Jets, intern at Cincy, and then went with Fickle to Wisconsin, then 20 minutes at Michigan. Oh, Scruggs.
Scruggs, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. He's For a guy who's only 33 years old, he's had some fantastic moves there. And now he's got to start over.
Yep. That's unfortunate.
Yep. I bet Sharon was punching the air. Yeah, I bet he was too. I bet he was pretty upset about that. Ooh. I think Connor Stallion says, Illinois D coach, something Jameson is looking like a big target. That would be interesting. So pull somebody away from Belima.
Belima. Okay. Illinois got a good defense.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right. I've got a little bit of information on the transfer portal.
Okay.
So here you go. The college football transfer portal system is a system that allows student athletes to transfer. Yeah, we know. Entering the portal. If a student athlete wishes to transfer, they must inform their current school's athletic department. The school then has 2 business days to enter the athlete's name into the portal. Once the athlete's name is in the portal, other schools are allowed to contact them. And then the athlete can then communicate with other schools, take visits, and eventually decide if they want to transfer. If they choose to transfer, they must receive a release from their current school and meet necessary NCAA eligibility requirements. So you cannot be contacted until your name is in the portal. And the school has to be the one to enter your name into the portal. And they've got 2 days to do that. So I think that a player can probably just say whenever he wants to transfer that he's transferring, and then they enter his name into the transfer portal, and then they start the recruitment and stuff like that. So does the portal ever actually end?
Yeah, it has to end. There's only a 30-day portal. At any given time, it's only 30 days.
That's after a coach leaves, though.
No, I think it's always 30 days.
Starting from
Wait a minute. What read that again, or at least was there a part on there about the date for the portal?
No.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it's 30 days. I'm pretty sure it's always 30 days.
All right. Let me find out.
But
that wouldn't make any sense. What are they basing that off of? Like, what is the trigger that you hit, and then it's like, okay, 30 days after this, you can transfer, or you can't transfer anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means that it's always open.
Okay, I don't know. I guess we'll have to dig into that some more.
Yeah, we'll have to do a team rivalry education hour.
Education video, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, actually, let me read. So Moore is doing the work of a GM, and he's shrewd. He stole Alford right under OSU's nose, and he's restructuring Michigan's football infrastructure. He's doing the job of Worthless Ward.
Hey,
Ward Manuel. Okay, gotcha.
Ward Manuel just hired the hottest name in college basketball as Michigan's basketball coach. So credit where credit is due. He had John Beeline's help.
Yep.
But Ward had to drop the contract.
Yep.
So.
All right, I'm going to bring up one from a Buckeye fan. By the way, Chuck, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. So he says, clout my ass, what a stupid comment. You got Alford because he had a 1-year contract and knew he was out after this year. Okay, so this may be true, but when I'm talking about clout, what I'm talking about is Michigan is the reigning national champions, the reigning Big Ten champions. They have the clout to go get whoever they want, or at least to ask whoever they want. Tony Alford, taking your comment the way it is, Tony Alford may not have been a clout pull. Nevertheless, the clout is there. Does that make sense? Did I say that right?
I was thinking that was clout as in like they've got clout through Tony Alford to get more Ohio State coaches.
No, I mean, Michigan has clout. I mean, Sharon
Moore. That's
Moore,
what I mean.
But you're saying that's what Buckeye Chuck is saying?
Maybe. That's what I was thinking. I don't know. I mean, yeah, okay, but he's not wrong either. Like, yeah, I think Alford was probably out of Columbus after this year, whether he got fired or wanted to move on to a different job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't really know why his contract wouldn't be renewed, except for the fact that maybe he wants Ohio State to run the ball more, and Ryan Day doesn't really want to run the ball more, and also they don't have the offensive line to run the ball more. See, this is my point: is that like Ohio State's offensive line is not that great. So if they weren't getting the yards on the ground that Ryan Day was hoping for, you can't blame the running back coach. You have to look at the O-line.
Mm-hmm.
Just my personal opinion.
Right.
And that's coming from decades of playing NCAA 14. I fire my O-line coaches all the time, guys.
All the time. All the time.
I don't know their names. They've got families, probably kids. They're gone. I don't care. No Christmas this year, Johnny.
No.
Dad got fired because he sucks.
Rico says it's wild to get a championship ring and then transfer. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not sure why those guys left. Except that they want more playing time and they may not have gotten it. This is a good one too. So Antoine says Michigan also retains Quentin Johnson, who basically makes up for Sab. Potentially. I think it's cool that Johnson was going to enter the draft, right?
Yes.
Is he the one? Yeah, he's going to enter the draft and came back.
Yep. I believe he actually had a pretty decent draft outlook too. Like he was expected to go pretty highly, I think.
Okay.
But there's a rumor that he is working through an injury, and so he decided to come back because of that. I can't really confirm that, but that is a rumor that I heard.
Okay. Good luck to Sab. Hope he crushes it at Bama and stays healthy as long as he didn't transfer to them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nothing against these guys. If they want to move on, they can move on. That's good.
Yeah.
Darius Clemens. Darius Clemens is the other guy who transferred with Sab. Right?
Oh, wait. Did Darius Clemens transfer? I didn't think he transferred. Oh, wait. Yeah, he did transfer.
He did. Yeah, he was the guy who transferred at the same time Sab did.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I think he did. Yeah. But he's a loss. Like he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Antoine, let's see here. Oh. We need somebody else to keep going through these things. Too many J's in that psycho family. Yes.
Does anybody want to volunteer to be a moderator? This is easily the most chats. Oh, actually, fun fact. Our last live stream. Yes, Darius Clemens transferred to Oregon State. Thank you, Moose. Love that. That's awesome. Last live stream we hit that was our first live stream with at least 100 chats. And
nice.
With the way this one is going, I think we're going to break that.
Well here. Yeah. Moose says, I know one thing. Moore and his staff better hit the recruiting trail hard because our rivals are getting all the top talent. Yeah. Looking at the quarterbacks and that, we don't have any transfers, I think. But that's a good one.
Yeah, I don't believe Michigan's gotten a commitment since the national championship, which is kind of wild, but there's also been a lot of change. So maybe recruits are waiting to see that. I do know that a lot of really good running back recruits are taking notice of the Tony Alford hire and thinking, maybe Michigan's the place to be. There's a 5-star running back that's got them in their top 3, I think.
Yeah.
In his top 3.
Solo Tech says they need to make an offer to Trey Scott. Trey Scott is at Georgia.
Okay.
That would be cool. Defensive line coach at Georgia since 2017, looks like. That'd be an interesting poll. And Sam Stamos says, are those portal violations as serious as buying a cheeseburger?
No, not at all.
And I say this every single time, depends on the cheeseburger.
It does. Did the cheeseburger even have bacon on it? I mean, seriously, if he bought the guy a bacon cheeseburger, like maybe then it's worth it. But
yep,
I don't know.
Oh, apparently, Connor Stallions, who lives in Ohio State's fans' heads, does not like Brett Bielema. So, thank God for John Beeline. Yeah, he might actually be coming back as an advisor to the new coach from Florida Atlantic.
Oh, cool. All right.
That's where they got the new basketball coaches from FAU, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Goodness gracious. Okay. Doug Wired, you guys are feeding the delusional fan base. Wow, this podcast is so out of touch with reality. Paint a great picture on notebook paper types.
I can't draw, so I've never really tried to paint.
Great picture on notebook paper types.
I've never heard that saying.
I haven't either. It sounds like an insult.
Well, it's because we're so out of touch with reality. probably.
Well, I mean, sure.
I mean,
I don't mind being out of touch with reality. Reality kind of sucks right now.
it's not great, you know? I mean, that's why we're doing football, not politics, guys.
Right. Speaking of which,
We want to be happy.
was the cheeseburger on a pretzel bun or a hard bun? That is the discussion we need to be having.
That's it.
Brioche. I like the brioche bun with my cheeseburger.
Brioche is good. Pretzel buns are really high in carbs and calories, but I love them. Oh my gosh, a pretzel bun cheeseburger with bacon on it. That's what I'm talking about right there. That is the dinner of championship football right there.
Yep. Serge, are we rolling with one of our 5 QBs or going to the portal?
We're going to talk
That is the
about
question we're going to get to. But first, ESPN and the College Football Playoff extend exclusive media rights agreement through 2031 and 2032. Actually, I think Mark Rogers had a video out on this that he said Disney screws college football. At least I think that's what that one was about. And I mean, I agree. This is, man, you don't really have to know too much about this. The article says, and this is from collegefootballplayoff.com, so it's really just the marketing announcement. Oh, no, what are those called? Press release.
Yeah, marketing announcement.
Marketing announcement. I couldn't think of press release, so I had to say something fast.
This is a marketing announcement.
It's a marketing
We're
announcement.
selling stuff, guys.
Well, they are.
Or buying stuff. They're buying.
So they said ESPN retains exclusive worldwide rights to all rounds of the expanded college football playoff, the second largest annual sporting event in the United States of America. Starting in 2026 through 27, the College Football Playoff National Championship will be broadcast on ABC in addition to ESPN's signature MegaCast presentation. The MegaCast is the one where they put it on like 5 different channels, and on one channel you see the press box, and the other channel you see the overhead cam, and the other channel it's just the game with no announcements, that kind of thing.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got distracted. There's this really cute girl in the chat, and I need to get her number. Hey, you know, if you're not seeing anybody,
Right.
it's my wife, guys. Anyway,
I heard this is now a cooking show. You got my attention. You're the only one who can cook here. That's all I want to say.
That is fair. I make a good breakfast, though. I made over easy eggs this morning.
Nice.
The yolks were still kind of runny.
Very good.
Thank you.
The extension includes broad college football playoff distribution rights for Walt Disney Company linear and direct-to-consumer platforms and offerings, expanded sales and sponsorship program for Disney advertising.
What?
Yeah, ESPN now owns college football.
Yes.
Because the playoffs are what matter now, right? So they own college football. They also have a contract with the SEC. And this is my question after seeing this. Why isn't this a conflict of interest?
I mean, it is. I don't know, because in my limited knowledge of monopolies and, well, I shouldn't say monopolies because I actually have an economic minor. And so like, I know a little bit about that, but like in terms of antitrust law, not a lawyer, so I don't know a lot about that kind of stuff, but like, wouldn't ESPN want to, let's say, influence the CFP a little to try and get more of their teams from the SEC into the playoffs so that they could get more money? I feel like that's a thing that could happen. Now, I could be totally wrong about that because it could be that like, oh, ESPN's just got the SEC and then the playoff committee is a totally independent third party and they decide who goes into the tournament. And then the tournament is its own entity of television packages and stuff like its own games. So maybe they've got like their conference games that they get to show during the season, and then they also just happen to be able to show the playoffs at the same time. I guess what I'm shocked about throughout this whole thing is, where was Fox? How did Fox not get even some of this? I mean, with all of the layoffs and all of the stuff going on at ESPN, the downsizing, the money issues that they've been having, how in the world did they drop this much Skrilla on that many games?
And not just ESPN. I mean, Disney itself they've dropped their budget by billions.
Yes.
How did they?
Maybe it was to prepare for this.
Maybe, but to that point though, the article, the marketing announcement also says, in both the amended 2-year agreement and new 6-year extension, the CFP provides ESPN with the rights to sublicense a select number of games. So where's Fox Sports in this? They have to now buy the broadcast rights from ESPN.
What?
Yeah, how does that even work?
Wait. Read that again.
It says
that can't be right.
The CFP provides ESPN with the right to sublicense a select number of games.
Oh, that's why they did it.
What?
That's why they did it. Because then ESPN can own the entire thing, and then they can just sublet it to Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And Fox is going to have to pay ESPN. So no matter whatever ESPN's investment was in this, they can sell it to Fox for more money and make a profit on it.
Right.
That's genius and horrible all at the same time.
All at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
And
they basically bought, like, if you've got a block of houses, they basically bought the whole block of houses and then rented them out to everybody to make a profit on all of them. And that's genius business. But my thing is that there's only one playoff. So isn't that a monopoly? And wouldn't that get them in trouble with antitrust lawsuits?
I mean, I would think it would. I mean, especially with the SEC connection. And I don't know. I don't know if this is good for college football or not. I mean, it almost, I mean, we've been talking about NIL doing so much damage now to college football. This is almost like, let's just beat it to death and squeeze it for every penny we can.
Well, I guess,
and also, like you said, that this feels a lot like ESPN is going to squeeze the Big Ten out of this. The Big Ten is going to have to start their own network. Well, I mean, outside of the Big Ten network, I guess.
Yeah, outside of Fox or something like that. I mean, or they're going to have to like set up their own playoff system. Somehow.
Right.
I don't know. The money with all of this is just really weird because, yeah, to me, that feels like a monopoly that ESPN has over the playoffs, which it is. Maybe that's okay. Maybe they can do that. But whenever you've only got one entity that owns everything, the quality of that thing always goes down.
Right.
So whose was it for this to be sold? I guess it's the CFP committee is able to sell it. So are they just going to renegotiate? Well, they'll renegotiate the package after the 2032 year,
right?
2032 season.
I'm pretty sure you have to look at the CFP the same way that bowl games are set up. So a bowl game is not owned by any university or conference. A bowl game is an entity unto itself, and they invite teams to play the game.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily about rankings other than better teams bring in more viewers. So So any given bowl game, let's say there's the team rivalry bowl, and we want to invite Michigan and Georgia. And so they have no say in how it works. We're the ones who are inviting them. And so what's happening now is the CFP then owns the national championship and the playoffs, which is now being co-coordinated with the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Orange Bowl. And so those bowl games are not owned by conferences. They're owned by the CFP. And now the CFP has exclusively licensed broadcast rights to ESPN. And ESPN can now sublease those rights to Fox if they want.
I just heard the screams of all of my brain cells die. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I don't know. The bowl games themselves are their own entities, and then they decide to be in the CFP. The CFP then says, all right, so we've got this package of games that we're going to sell to ESPN for streaming rights, and then the ESPN is going to be like, cool, we can sell some of those games to Fox because we can't carry all of them, and we're going to make a profit off of that, and Fox is going to have to pay Mega Skrilla to get even a few games. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I don't know. Actually, I'm starting to come around on this. That's good business. That was good negotiating on ESPN's part. I guarantee that they fired David Pollack and a bunch of other people from ESPN to try and make some money for that, to open up some budget for that. Yeah. I think that's what happened.
Looking at the chats, LOL says you totally suck at Monopoly. So I don't know why you brought it up.
Oh, she's right. I do.
Opinion on what?
She beat me in 24 minutes.
Oh,
today.
That's a fast Monopoly game.
Yeah.
Opinion on Chris Fowler, the ESPN play-by-play guy?
I like him.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with him.
I can't place him. I'm sure I've heard him, but now I can't place him all of a sudden.
He's on the big one. He does the night games with Herb Street.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was the one that called the Rose
good.
Bowl. He called the Rose Bowl and the Natty. And he was the one that, Blake Corum spins and scores. That should be my ringtone.
Yep. Connor also says Fox is stuck overpaying Urban. Yeah, maybe.
Anyone who hires Urban Meyer is overpaying Urban Meyer. I don't care.
I don't know. Ohio State got a good deal out of him.
That's fair. That's fair. They're the only ones.
They're the only ones. Antoine says this whole country is all about monopolies, even though it's supposed to be outlawed. That's why COVID and these government stooges, the COOF and these government stooges were able to lock down everything so easy. Yes. Okay. I agree. That's another subject, and I'm really angry about it.
Are we going to start a politics channel?
No. Antoine says we can. Well, Steve Dace can do that. He'll handle it.
Yeah.
I don't know why ESPN wouldn't let them out of their deal. At the end of the day, they're going to have to come back and sign a deal with them again. Wouldn't let them out of their deal. I don't know.
Oh, the personalities that they let go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the end of the day, ESPN and Fox are just two different sides of the same coin. Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
I don't disagree with that.
I think the issue is that there's not enough networks. I mean, Fox and ESPN are the big ones. And then who else would, CBS, I guess. But CBS really doesn't have, actually, they've got Notre Dame, don't they?
I don't know. I just
like the Irish network on Notre Dame or some nonsense. I don't know.
Speaking as the old guy, I enjoyed it a lot more when it was ABC, NBC, and CBS and Fox. And that's where the sports were. You didn't have to go buying more subscriptions to see this stuff.
Yeah.
Sell the CFP to Connor Stallions. He knows how to manage affairs.
Connor Stallions is an American hero. Changed my mind. We're going to sell that t-shirt.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know, Connor. Urban would kick you if you didn't pay him.
Yeah. Don't upset Urban Meyer. He'll kick you.
Yep.
Or he'll let you grind on him. We hit 100 messages.
Very
Boom.
nice.
All right. Thank you, everybody. This is also the most amount of people watching since our Ohio State live stream. So when we
the Cotton Bowl?
The Cotton Bowl, we had, I think, over 200.
Yeah.
I think. Right now we've got 64. So just for the normal show, this is our highest ever. So thank you, everybody. This is amazing. We love it.
Thank you.
And it goes to show you Sunday nights do work for live streaming because we were wondering that. So
we were,
now we know.
And what's funny for everybody out there, we actually, the Cotton Bowl live stream that we did really well. And then our very next video tanked. And we thought, looking at the analytics, we thought that the live streams were killing the channel. So we took the live stream down and
killed the channel.
and then killed the channel. I guess really killed the channel. And so we've been picking it back up since then. If by any chance you want to see that live stream, it is available on Team Rivalry Live, which should be youtube.com/@TeamRivalryLive. We started that channel. We put up all of our old live streams because we thought they were killing the channel. So there's a bunch of live streams over there. They don't need to be, but they are there.
And we're not going to put any more there either.
No. So it's really an archive at this point.
Yeah. So if you subscribe to that channel, understand that you're doing it strictly for the purposes of witnessing history and nothing more.
Nothing more.
Where were you when we released our Ohio State Cotton Bowl live stream?
Yeah.
Probably in the living room watching the Cotton Bowl.
Probably.
Yeah.
Our next story from the Detroit News. And you can only say Detroit if you're saying Detroit. Otherwise, it's Detroit.
Nobody
know you're not
outside of
from
Detroit gets that.
Right. Yeah. They know you're not from Detroit if you say Detroit. That means you're from somewhere else. People from Detroit say Detroit.
Detroit. Yep.
My parents are from Detroit. I live near Detroit. I call it Detroit.
I live in the same state as Detroit. It's true.
Michigan and Jim Harbaugh file responses to the NCAA notice of allegations. This is from Angelique Chingelis. We bring this up for a couple of different reasons, but let's go through the story first because I think a lot of people will find this interesting. The lawyers representing the University of Michigan and lawyer Tom Mars, who represents former Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh, that's important. File that away. Remember that. Have met the deadlines for filing separate responses on behalf of their clients after receiving a notice of allegations last December. So the NCAA now has 60 days to respond to Michigan, and that puts us in mid-late May, is what I'm guessing. The fact that Jim Harbaugh's lawyer is involved shows that Harbaugh did not escape any potential punishments coming from the NCAA potential sanctions. That's still a possibility. And then, in fact, Ward Manuel is quoted later in the article as saying Harbaugh leaving does not impact the investigation. And because Harbaugh's lawyer is involved, Harbaugh could still face sanctions if there are any.
Okay.
Okay.
What are they going to do? You can't coach college football anymore.
Well, hold on.
Oh.
The NCAA sent a draft of the NOA on January 5th. NOA is Notice of Allegations on January 5th, 2023, detailing 4 alleged level 2 violations, including meeting with recruits during a COOF recruiting dead period. Harbaugh faces a level 1 allegation, the NCAA's most severe, for allegedly lying to and misleading investigators. Michigan agreed to the level 2 violations, but Harbaugh never agreed to the level 1. But somewhere in there is why he self-suspended the first 3 games of last season.
I still think he did that just to get it over with. I think that's they were going to say, like, okay, fine, we'll suspend him for 3 games next season. Boom. Are you happy? And apparently not.
Apparently not, yeah.
Yeah.
The alleged illegal scouting, sign stealing is not part of this. That one is still coming.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
Moose, I'm going to throw this on here real quick. So Moose says there's a level 1 for that. Yeah, apparently there is.
A friendly reminder that Tennessee got 18 level 1 violations and their punishment was a slap on the wrist. I think it was literally like a fine.
Yeah, it wasn't much, that's for sure. So Matt Miller, okay. This tweet, the reason I think this tweet ties in with this, Matt Miller said Michigan expects over 150 NFL personnel for pro day today. That's the biggest number I've heard for a pro day. This goes to, did the sign stealing that Michigan may have done, well, I guess all teams steal signs, the potential illegal sign stealing that may have happened, did that make Michigan a paper champion? As in, was Michigan only good this year because they potentially had the signs from the other teams, or were they good this year because Jim Harbaugh built a championship level team? I maintained through the season when the allegations came out, I maintained that you cannot sustain that kind of dominating success through sign stealing.
Especially if everyone's doing it.
Right. And in fact, what this shows me here with this Matt Miller tweet is that the NFL knows that too. Michigan legitimately beat every other team they played fair and square. The NFL knows it, and that's why there were 150 NFL personnel at Pro Day watching Michigan.
Yeah. How in the world would sign stealing give this much of an advantage?
Right.
At the end of the day, it's like Deion Sanders said, you still have to run the plays. You still have to play the game. So just because you know the signs can be changed on a week-to-week basis. I understand that's apparently a very laborious activity for most college football programs, but they can be changed. So I don't understand how anyone thinks that just sign stealing. Now, okay, if they had like practice footage, which there's no allegations of that, if they had practice footage, then I could see that. There are allegations against Ohio State for that, and they still couldn't beat Michigan. So what does that say about Ryan Day? Whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyway, either way, sign stealing is not illegal.
Right.
Sign stealing is not illegal. So even if there was an unfair advantage given to Michigan, the fact that other teams are not doing it would be baffling. But everyone's doing it. Why? Mm-hmm. Because it's not illegal.
Well, I guess that's what the point I'm getting to. And actually, so the sign stealing is separate from this, but what I'm thinking of is there was no unfair advantage. Because if there was an unfair advantage, you wouldn't be able to sustain it. You wouldn't be able to hold it up. And the guys at the NFL would say, yeah, they only won because of the sign stealing. They only won because of contacting a recruit during a dead period. They only won because Harbaugh lied to investigators.
Yep.
And then they'd be saying, so we're not going to look at any of these players, and all these players would just be shafted basically and not be considered for anything. But they are. No. They are being considered. They are being looked at because Michigan was a championship team.
And
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, would the players stick around if they thought the only reason they were having success was because of sign stealing? Like, and I mean that.
Well, I mean, at that point, they didn't have any options. I mean, that was mid-season. Unless you're thinking they knew beforehand.
If they knew beforehand, because apparently there are allegations going back to 2021. So
okay.
Blake Corum. Blake Corum is a phenomenal running back, one of the best ever to wear the winged helmet. And let's pretend for a second that sign stealing is illegal. It's not, but let's do this. And Michigan, the only reason Michigan's any good is because they were stealing signs. Would Blake Corum risk his draft prospects for that? Would he come back for a fourth year for his senior season if he thought that Michigan was just going to get hammered for sign stealing allegations, and then every player on the team, their reputations are all hit because they were a part of the team that was only good because they were sign stealing? So now none of the players would look very good. And I can't see them making the business decision to stay at a program that's cheating to that level, if it were cheating, mm-hmm. And risking their future NFL careers on that.
Yeah.
I would think anyway.
Right. And furthermore, like we said, Harbaugh himself, he hasn't escaped anything. He's still tied up in this. What has happened, there was an NFL coach. Oh, I should have looked this up. I think it was the guy from the Seahawks was sanctioned. And then his first year in the NFL, he was actually suspended for a couple of games. They were able to work that out.
Pete Carroll?
Yeah, Pete Carroll. I'm pretty sure he was the guy. So that is a possibility. But now, okay, so going back to this slide, the things they're talking about right now, the meeting with recruits during a COOF dead period, that dead period, that COOF dead period was not a dead period under normal circumstances. So take that away, and it wasn't a dead period. So that's that. The allegedly lying to and misleading investigators is because, from what I understand, and I guess I don't know, now I'm going to be a Harbaugh apologist, that was the whole cheeseburger thing, and Harbaugh didn't think he had done anything wrong. So when they said he did, he was like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. This one, it drives me nuts because this whole investigation, like you said, Tennessee went crazy. Actually, I think we've got Moose. Yeah, Moose here says Tennessee had over 200 recruiting violations. And what happened?
And nothing happened to them.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
And I think this is what is so frustrating about this is that they're trying to say Harbaugh and Michigan desecrated the sport. And what they did doesn't amount to anywhere near what these other teams have done.
Not only that, but like the allegations of the recruiting violations at Michigan, they're about like what, 3 players? They watched one player work out. He bought 2 other recruits a cheeseburger.
Mm-hmm.
Are 3 recruits really going to make that much of a difference? And I'm not saying that to be like, oh, it was cheating, but who cares? It was 3 guys, let it go. Like, first off, all he did was buy them cheeseburgers, relax. All he did was watch the one kid work out, but the kid had been struggling with a chronic illness, I think, and he wanted to show Harbaugh how far he had come along in his recovery. This is insane.
Yeah.
This is
crazy.
Guess
the one thing you have to bring into the conversation is, okay, go back to the 5 guys who were suspended from OSU when Tressel was there.
Yeah.
So what happened there was Tressel, covered it up or didn't talk about it. And then what would have happened had Tressel self-reported, those guys would have been suspended. All right. So the fact that they weren't suspended, the fact that Tressel didn't report it and they weren't suspended means that Tressel was playing ineligible players. And it's when you cross that over to, oh, these players are ineligible. Now, all of a sudden, it sounds a lot worse than it is. Because, as we've said many times, what these guys did is now considered NIL, and it wasn't that big of a deal then either.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that it got covered up, and then they became ineligible players because of it, and that's where things get out of hand.
Well, okay. I mean, the cover up is always worse than the crime. So even if you don't think what you're doing is wrong, just say something or else it's going to get worse for you.
Right.
But yeah, so at that point, the players did something technically against the rules back then. That makes them ineligible. And then Ohio State tried to cover it up. The cover up sucks. But I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around what you said. So because they did something that was wrong or against the rules, that made the players ineligible. But then they went ahead and played the ineligible players anyway. But okay, and I'm saying this as a diehard Michigan fan. Those players never should have been ruled ineligible. That was a stupid rule.
Yeah.
And Tressel got kind of screwed because of that.
Yeah, he got shafted because of it.
Yeah.
All right, let me grab a couple of chats here. Angelique, Antoine. This is Rantoine. Angelique grew up an Ohio State fan. A lot of people didn't know that. I didn't know that. Actually, I'm just learning that now. But she is, in fact, a Michigan fan now. So, Grace. Moose says he already spent half the season suspended. Yeah, and that's the remarkable thing about it. That's Sharon Moore's resume right there, is that he already coached half of the championship season. Well, a third of the championship season.
Or quarter.
Oh, that's true too, because he didn't coach all of those games, 4 games. So yeah, a quarter of them.
Yeah.
And this is a good one here. Ohio State is also her birth state, Angelique's. Yeah, it's also, I think, where Bo Schembechler was born, Jim Harbaugh was born.
Michigan coaches are born in Ohio.
Born in Ohio and then moved to Michigan.
Bump Elliott, wasn't it? We're going to do this with the Welcome to the Big Ten video. Bump Elliott is actually like the last Michigan head coach to be born in Michigan.
One of the only Michigan coaches to actually be born in Michigan.
And he wasn't even all that good either.
Connor says, just stop cooperating with the team in red, mommy.
Yeah, take your ball and go home.
Yeah. So still in size. Is not illegal.
Signs.
Oh, stealing signs. Okay. Stealing signs is not, you gotta, autocorrect is a killer. It's not illegal, but the way you did it is illegal, which is more ineffective than getting him video. Connor got the actual Connor Stallions, not, well, I don't know if this Connor Stallions, anyway, the actual Connor Stallions, I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know why he wanted to do that. I would love one day for him to do an interview and say, well, I thought
iPhone cameras are just really good these days, you know? And so I thought, hey, I'll give my buddy $50. He goes to the game, he takes a few pictures, and then all of a sudden I get a promotion, you know?
Hey, Adrian.
Yeah, I don't know why I was just doing a voice that sounds like if Bullwinkle was from Philadelphia, but whatever.
Sounded kind of like the turtles from the first movie. Mikey,
yep.
Yeah,
you're right. That's a good one.
Moose says the NCAA already came out publicly and said Michigan won the Natty fair and square. Yes, they did. The president of the NCAA said that. Some people are trying to say the president of the NCAA doesn't get to make these decisions. I don't know why they think that. Yeah, I don't know. If it's not him, who's going to do it?
Rules committee that exists within the NCAA, the same organization that the president of?
Yes. So there is a committee within the NCAA that works out the investigation and makes the gives the suspension notice.
Oh, okay.
So, but at the same time, the president of the organization better not be running his mouth saying it's this way, only to find out it's this way, because then everything falls apart.
Yeah, I don't understand. Okay, so like in politics, if the president were to say something and it was, you know, a wild thing to be said, a lot of presidents have said a lot of wild things, you know, and then all of a sudden, like, people come on to the media and start having to walk that back. I mean, people are acting like people are acting like this type of thing has never happened before. Like if the president says something, you have to then like adjust your policy or your practice and behavior and stuff like that you're doing to what he says, or else you're all going to look like, you know, the president's an idiot and you probably shouldn't, or he probably shouldn't be the president. If that's the case here, then okay, maybe he's an idiot. He shouldn't be the president. I'm not.
Or they have to do, or they have to do a whole lot of CYA and get the president to come back out and say, well, what I meant was, but that hasn't happened. He has stood by that.
Yes.
Okay, wait a minute here. Connor Stallion says Michigan D didn't allow more than 24 points to anybody in their 15 wins. If sign stealing was so bad, why did Michigan allow any point ever? Yeah.
Yep. Just, you know, friendly reminder that Rutgers scored a 70-yard touchdown on Michigan. I understand they didn't score again, but that happened.
But it was scary for a hot minute. To me, not to you. It was to me. You were Mr. Calm, cool, and collected over there. I was like, no.
That's it. The season's over. We're going to lose.
Turn it off. I can't watch anymore. Antoine says, knowing what people are about to run on the football field doesn't mean you can stop it. Anybody who plays football knows Ohio State needs an excuse.
I mean, okay, Penn State game again, guys. Let's talk about that and how Michigan ran 32 straight runs. Do you think they were trying to hide that? No.
Yeah.
Penn State knew what Michigan was going to do as soon as they lined up, and they still couldn't stop it.
Yeah. Moose says Stallions was gone before the MSU game. This is haters' way of coping. Michigan cheated. The Natty will be vacated. Yeah. I think it is at this point. Antoine also said about Penn State, you think Penn State didn't get the message that Michigan was running? You think Ohio State didn't know we were running the ball? Yeah, they were running the ball every single time.
Yep.
Because if you can win on the ground, there's no need to go to the air. Not to mention, Ohio State already said that they changed the plays because they knew that Michigan knew. Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious here.
We're getting a lot of chats. This is kind of crazy.
Was it against the rules? Yes or no? Okay, so was what Connor Stallions did against the rules? Yes.
Oh, what Connor Stallions did?
Well,
yes.
I guess, okay, so now we have to go back because this is what the investigation is still trying to work out. So here's what you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to send a paid staff member to a future opponent's game and video record the sidelines.
Correct.
And use that in your own play calling. So there's a lot of things that have to happen, a lot of things that have to be proven. And so far, this in the letter sent to the Big Ten, all the NCAA has so far is they know that Connor Stallions made a spreadsheet. They know that Connor Stallions made tickets or bought tickets. They know that some of those tickets were used. Now, people try to say it was a whole bunch of games, but according to that letter, it was only 22 games over 3 years.
Over 3 years. Yeah. Okay.
That's what they know. So now the NCAA tried to threaten Michigan by saying, we know a bunch more stuff and we can prove it, so you better bow down. They didn't use that language. They said, we have some other stuff and we can prove it, but they didn't say what it was. That was in the letter. I think at that point they were hoping Michigan would just give up, but they didn't. So, I mean, that's the situation. Was it against the rules? If all of that happened, yes. If that didn't happen, no. Well, and we don't know yet.
And we don't even really know if it was technically against the rules either. Because that rule
sending someone, a staff member, to the game to video record and then using that footage is against the rules.
Okay. All right. But is one of Connor Stallion's random friends considered a staff member at that point?
And that's an issue too. If, then I think Steve Dace has said that, that then anybody who goes to a game and videos it and happens to know a coach at a team and says, oh, hey, I got this video of the sidelines. It's a really sticky thing. And as Antoine is going to say here in the next comment, yes. And did it cause everybody to lose? That's the point. So if you want to call it against the rules, call it against the rules. Your team still lost.
I guess to me, it's like, okay, if you have a buddy who works at a company and your buddy comes to you and says, oh my gosh, dude, we're working on this really cool new product. It's going to hit the shelves in like Q3, October, or something like that. You're totally going to want to get it. It's going to be a game changer. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you think to yourself, all right, well, I have Robinhood. Maybe I'll put $100 into their stock. Is that insider trading?
No. Yeah. It's only insider trading. It's only insider trading if you have actual intel from inside the company.
Right. Not just your friends saying, dude, we're working on a product. It's going to be dope.
Right.
Not literally dope, but it's going to be cool.
Well, it could be.
It could be now. Yeah, I guess that's true. But yeah, so this is literally Connor Stallion's friend going to a game and then saying like, oh yeah, I got some pictures, man. Here you go. Thanks for the tickets. That was dope. Thanks. And Connor Stallion's looking at this like, all right, I think I can figure out what they're running here, and there, and this picture means that kind of a thing. And then I'll take that to Jim and we'll figure this out. I don't see how that's possible.
Yeah.
I don't see, one, how that's breaking the rules. And two, Jim obviously had no idea what was going on because there's no evidence that he did, and no one can corroborate any evidence that there is anyway, or no one has brought forward any evidence. So either way,
right,
it was a Connor Stallion's problem, even if it is a problem.
Yep.
Or if it is even a problem. Anyway.
Otis John Jr., who was our quote of the day there in a previous segment.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier in the show. So, Otis, if you didn't see that, go back and watch it. Tampering with players seems much more important than sign stealing. I would agree, because this goes back to the idea of getting ringers. So if you can get ringers on your team, that's a lot bigger of a deal than finding out potentially what a play call is going to be. The other thing I just remembered too is I believe it was James Franklin who said that they have essentially, what was it? 700 plays when you consider all of the variations.
Mm-hmm.
There's either 700 or that was like the base set. But at any rate, 700 plays. And if you get 50, 60 snaps in a game, means you're only using less than 10% of those plays. So somebody goes to a game, videos the sidelines, they're seeing less than 10% of your plays at best. And then you have 640 other plays to run.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the advantage? I don't get it. So I would agree that tampering with players is a much bigger deal.
Yeah, and if that's even what we think it is, I guess. I don't know. I guess my thing is that these rules are all so ambiguous that you never know from day to day what rules you're breaking and what you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're breaking a rule or not. I don't know. But that seems really silly to me that I don't know. It just all seems really silly to me. But this, Moose is right.
Moose says they got what they wanted. Jim is gone. In a sense. Plus, Harbaugh wanted to get that national championship done, and so he could go back to the NFL and get his Super Bowl. And I hope he does.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Just not this year. This is the Lions' year.
This is the Lions' year. Otis also says with the transfer portal tampering like OSU is doing will give more of an advantage than having the playbook. Because they're spending so much money in the portal?
Well, no, tampering would be like telling a player to get into the portal because they'll give them money.
Oh, yeah.
That's telling them or talking to them before they're even in the portal.
Right.
Yeah, but again, I'm like, if they're doing it at a super wide scale, then sure. But if it's one or two players or something like that, then it's like, is that really going to make a difference? I don't know. I mean, you got to put the rule in place anyway. Gray areas.
Who is the guy at Michigan State just a handful of years back? Henderson? No. The running back that essentially won their games for them.
Kenneth Walker. Yeah.
Yeah.
K9.
So one player made a huge difference in that case.
All right. Yeah, I guess that's fair. I mean, they had Keon Coleman, they had Peyton Thorne, who's not awful. I mean, they had some players. So okay, I get it. Yeah. But I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter whether or not one player makes a difference because you still, if you're the NCAA, you still have to put a rule in place that says you can't talk to a recruit or you can't talk to a player before they hit the portal, period. Because as soon as you start allowing some gray into this, then every team is going to be like, all right, well, dang, I saw Michigan's got a really good quarterback. I'm going to see if I can shoot him a text and say, hey, how much are they paying you? And then this turns into, I mean, it's already getting there, but it's going to get there that much faster.
I'm sorry, we got a whole lot of things going on in the chat here. Goodness gracious.
We hit Rutgers, 80 viewers at one point.
Rutgers scored 7. Michigan scored the next 31.
Greg, crybaby, don't cry like a newborn. Poor Greg needs to take a nip.
Otis says, how do we know what Connor Stallions did?
There's evidence.
There is some evidence. There's definitely evidence that he had a spreadsheet of the games that he wanted to get. He did buy tickets, and some of those tickets were used. That's all tracked now. So we know that. What we don't know is, was video taken? Did it get back to Michigan? Did Michigan use it? We don't know that. We absolutely do not know that yet. That's what the investigation is about. No,
at one point, either the Big Ten or the NCAA came out and said that they never found evidence to suggest that Harbaugh knew or used any of the footage that Stallions took.
Right.
So they completed their investigation and found nothing except for what they already knew.
Right. And then that letter, in that letter, it says that as far as they can tell, Connor Stallions was the only one involved.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, but I guess we'll see. That's why the so-called hammer. That's why the so-called hammer is too heavy for the NCAA to lift it.
Yes.
Blue Wolverine here. In the end, the Natty will stand, and Michigan can be thanked for the implementation of headset comms and the beginning of the NCAA downfall. I think that's true.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Would really like the NCAA to fall apart and for Nick Saban to create a committee and oversee everything. We need Grandpa Saban to run college football.
We do.
Yes.
You want to get to some quarterback talk?
I want to talk some quarterbacks. Yeah, let's do it.
I think we need to get to that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to be here all night, which is fine. Love you guys talking. Did I want to what now?
Do you want to hear? So real quick, I found a little bit more on the transfer portal.
Okay.
On a tab that I've misplaced. Uh-oh. I didn't lose it, did I? Okay, here it is. So let me go back to it. Yeah. Okay. So before, an hour and a half ago, when we were talking about the transfer portal, we had asked, is there a time limit or a time window? What is the time window? So it is 30 days after a coach moves on, or if there's a coaching change, but there's a couple of other ones. So here they are. Athletes have specific periods during the year when they can enter their name into the portal. For football, this time is divided into 2 windows. A 45-day period beginning on the Monday after bowl game selections, and then there's a 15-day period in the spring. Those windows are designed to give student athletes a specific time frame to explore their options and make a decision about transferring. It's important to note that these windows can vary depending on the sport and the athlete's circumstances. Therefore, it's always a good idea for athletes to discuss this process with their coaches. Please note that the exact dates can vary each year, so it's recommended to check NCAA guidelines. So there's a window. A window exists, but there are also any number of extenuating circumstances that can change that window, that can change the length of the window, that can change which players are eligible at a certain time to go into the transfer portal. So yeah,
all right.
That's that.
That's that.
That's that.
Okay, our basketball update for the evening. Alabama beat out Grand Canyon, I guess.
No.
And apparently Connor Stallions doesn't really care. He's got the yawning.
I was more concerned about Oakland, but whatever.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Now it's time to talk about reviewing the quarterbacks from the top 5 Big Ten. Reviewing the quarterbacks from the top 5 Big Ten programs, according to Athlon Sports. These are the top 5 teams. So Athlon, I think about a month or so ago, released their power rankings for the Big Ten. And the top 5 teams were Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Southern California, and Oregon. Not in that order. It's actually Ohio State, Oregon, and then Michigan, then Penn State, and then USC. Ohio State is number 1 because, as we know, they don't get any respect.
Yeah. Obviously.
It's Ohio State against the world, so they never get any respect.
Ohio State versus everybody, including Lou Holtz, especially Lou Holtz.
Especially Lou Holtz. All right. So here's what we've got at Ohio State. We've got Lincoln Kienholz, Julian Sayin, Aaron Noland, Mason Maggs, Will Howard, Chad Ray, and Devin Brown. Kyle McCord. Okay, so yeah, Kyle McCord famously left quickly at the end of last season. Kienholz stuck it out. Kienholz was actually in the Cotton Bowl, right? He played in part of the Cotton Bowl. Yeah, he did, because that's when we were worried about Ohio State, and then all of a sudden McCord gets hurt, and they bring in Kienholz.
No, McCord had already transferred to Syracuse at that point. It was Devin Brown, I think, that took over for Kienholz.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
We got to go back and watch that.
So after their multi-million-dollar expenditures, They ended up with 2 freshmen, 1 sophomore, 2 juniors, 1 senior, and 1 grad student. And actually, Julian Sayin there, after I put this up, I was trying to get some more details on these guys. Julian Sayin has already transferred to Alabama.
He did?
Yeah.
I thought he would. That's so weird. For some reason, today I thought I saw that he transferred to Ohio State.
Oh, well, maybe I missed it then because
Hang on. I can. Julian Sayin.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, now it says he's maybe I was looking at the wrong one.
He transferred to Ohio State.
Okay, so he is it out. Okay.
Yeah.
Did he transfer to Alabama and then to Ohio State, like in the same portal?
No, it looks like he began his career as an early enrollee playing for Alabama and then transferred to Ohio State.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so this is we're going to go on your analysis here.
Okay.
What do you think of these quarterbacks? And I guess the question should be for each team. Who's your starter and who's your backup?
Okay, so I'm going to start with Will Howard. Will Howard, to me, feels like the starter. I don't know why Ryan Day would go into why Ryan Day would go into the transfer portal to get a quarterback if he didn't want to find one that would be the starter. Because we know that that's probably why McCord transferred to Syracuse, was because McCord went to Ryan Day asking for guarantees that he would get the starting position this year. Ryan Day said, no, you got to earn it. And you probably won't even get it. I'm paraphrasing or illustrating. I don't know. I'm making some of this up to kind of get the point across. And then McCord says, well, Syracuse sucks. I'll transfer there and I'll be a shoo-in. So that's okay. So so Will Howard then transfers to Ohio State. I'm thinking he's probably the starter, but Julian Sayin, this is kind of wild. Why would they bring in Julian Sayin? Because Air Noland is supposed to be like the heir apparent. Like, he is a great quarterback prospect.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
He's the total package. He is going to be electric. Why would they bring in Julian Sayin if Aaron Nolan wasn't already doing enough for a backup role? And that being said, did Aaron Nolan already beat out Devin Brown for the backup role, or Lincoln Kienholz? So who is their backup? What is going on here? Who is going to be their quarterback? I guess my money is still technically on Will Howard because he's the most experienced. But Lincoln Kienholz got injured in the Cotton Bowl, and then Devin Brown came in and didn't really impress. That's okay. 75% of Ohio State's team opted out or transferred for the Cotton Bowl, so whatever. If Aaron Nolan is not playing as well as we thought he was, that's why I would think that they would allow Julian Sayin to come in. But I don't know. To me, it feels like there's not a lot of separation between the quarterbacks right now. And that's why they're just bringing in anyone that they can get at this point. Well, not anyone. Julian Sayin's not anyone. He's great. Or he should be great. But I think that, yeah, actually go blue, go blue. I think they don't know what to do. I agree with that. I think that they don't know what to do with their quarterbacks. I think that there's 2 or 3 different styles of quarterback play represented by this list here. Will Howard is not a runner. Will Howard is a passer, and he's not even as much of a passer as Kyle McCord was. Will Howard's stats in 2023 are worse than Kyle McCord's. I'm trying to look real quick if he's got rushing stats. He doesn't run the ball. He has 11. The most carries he got in a single game was against Iowa State. He carried the ball 11 times for 46 yards and 1 touchdown. So I'm thinking there's some scrambling in there. They lost that game anyway. So they brought in Will Howard to replace Kyle McCord, and he doesn't even have as good a stat line as Kyle McCord. Julian Sayin are completely different styles of quarterback. or Julian Stayen and Aaron Noland are two completely different styles of quarterback. So I don't know that they know what they're doing.
Yeah. What?
Also,
yeah, okay,
Tom
that's
McCormick. Real quick, Tom McCormick, I think you're right. I did say it backwards. Devin Brown started and Lincoln Kleinholz took over.
We got Will Howard blitz up the middle. He overreacts and throws picks.
Yes. Yes. Will Howard has 10 interceptions in 2023, and Kyle McCord had 6. Kyle McCord also had 24 touchdowns in 2023, and Will Howard actually also had 24. So I guess he threw as many touchdowns. So there you go.
All right. This is interesting to me. Ohio State just wants extra insurance. It's smart on their part, but I don't think they'll be able to keep everybody, which is interesting because then that means that they've got 7 quarterbacks, which is more than everybody else on this list. So are they literally like overloading because they know guys are going to transfer in spring?
Well, the only reason guys would transfer is because they're overloading. And I don't even know that this is the case. I think that, okay, I'm backing up here a second. Julian Sayen and Aaron Noland are both 5-star quarterbacks who play, I believe, the same style of quarterback. Okay, they can both run, they can both throw. They're the complete package. They're great quarterbacks. Lincoln Kleinholz is not that quarterback. Devin Brown was not that quarterback. Will Howard, as good as he is with his arm, which ironically is not as good as Kyle McCord, is still not that kind of quarterback. So Ryan Day doesn't have just a decision about quarterbacks to make. He's got a decision about what offensive philosophy he's going to take this year and what he's even going to do with his quarterback. If he chooses to go the Will Howard route because of the experience, then do Julian Sayen and Aaron Noland both transfer? Or does Julian Sayen take a backup spot and Aaron Noland transfers, or vice versa? And if that's the case, then you've got a quarterback who's your backup, but he plays a different style of offense than your starter. And so how are you going to sub him in or out? Somebody is going to play kind of outside their comfort zone. And so whether it's Julian Sayen or Aaron Noland, they're going to be uncomfortable. Now, Buckeyes battle cry here, he says Aaron Noland is all in at Ohio State. I love that, and I want to believe that that's true because that's, it's great to have that kind of a mentality from your kids, from your players. And, if I'm an Ohio State fan, I definitely want to hear that. I'm not, obviously. But, he says he's all in at Ohio State until Julian Sayen transfers in. Then what?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So go blue asked the question. Let's tie this one up. So you're going with Will Howard as your starter?
I think Will Howard's going to start, and I think Julian Sayen will probably transfer.
Well, then who's the backup?
Either Aaron Noland or Devin Brown.
All right.
Because I'm assuming Julian Sayen's there thinking that he's going to win the starting job. And if/when he doesn't, then I think he's out.
All right. Buckeyes Battle Cry says they both just got there. Neither of the two are leaving. Brown or Kleinholz are likely leaving.
I mean, it's he's likely right, but we did just see a player transfer to Iowa and then back to Alabama within like 3 months.
Right.
So nothing's impossible at this point.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to our next one.
Okay.
Oregon, the Oregon Ducks. For the first time ever, we get to talk about the Oregon Ducks as a Big Ten team. That's something I got to get used to. Just as a little input here, Dan Lanning is in his 3rd season at Oregon with a record so far of 22-5 for
not
2
bad.
seasons. Yeah, not bad. Last year, they lost the Pac-12 championship to fellow Big Ten newcomers, Washington. who we know lost to Michigan in the national championship.
Hey, sorry, your list
What?
is wrong.
Is it?
I think that's
Oh,
Penn
shoot.
State's quarterback room that you've got there.
It is.
Whoops.
Whoops. I've got it right on my paper. What did I do? Well, let me see if the Penn State one looks right.
It's probably Oregon's.
It's still Penn State.
It's still Penn State. Oh no, are we not talking about Oregon?
All right, hold on. Let me jump here for a second. Okay, so
right.
Oregon Ducks. We've got Dante Moore, Dylan Gabriel, Luke Moga, Brock Thomas, Austin Novosad, and Ryder Hayes. So who's your starter? Who's your backup?
Okay. I got to find the rest of Oregon's quarterback room. But anyway, I think my starter would be Dylan Gabriel. And I'm saying this as completely ignorant of Oregon's quarterback room because I just kind of assumed that Bo Nix was always going to be their quarterback. I don't see a reason why he shouldn't just stay in school and be their quarterback. Like, I understand he's probably going to be a decent draft pick, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, since I know nothing about Oregon except for the fact that Bo Nix, I believe, was a dual threat quarterback. I believe he could run along with passing. I want to say, I think he's pretty good. In my opinion, that kind of makes Dylan Gabriel, I think, a likely starter because he is actually not that much of a runner. I might be totally wrong on this. He's got a great he's more of a passer for sure. He's actually a really good passer. He's got 3,600 yards in 2023. He's got a 70% completion percentage, almost 10 yards a play, 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's pretty good. I think Dylan Gabriel's probably going to start, and then I think Dante Moore is probably going to be the backup. But I think from what I understand of Dante Moore, he's probably hoping to get the starting spot. And if he doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised if he transferred again. Now, I'm saying that as someone who knows nothing about Dante Moore other than the fact that he was committed to Michigan and then decommitted to Michigan and went to UCLA and then moved on from UCLA to go to Oregon. So the kid's been everywhere or whatever. Anyway, so unless he's got like ties to Oregon somehow, I could see him moving on. But okay, so Connor Stallion says Dylan Gabriel not a runner.
Ask Texas.
Okay, all right. So maybe he can run. I don't know. I didn't watch the Texas game.
Buckeyes Battlecry backs him up on that too. Dude can run.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Well, okay, so this is something too then. So yeah, he had 14 carries against Texas, 113 yards for 8 yards a carry. So he definitely can run. But why didn't he the rest of the season?
Yeah.
Like Kansas, he has 14 carries, 64 yards. Is Kansas's defense that much better than Texas? And they lost against Kansas. So
yeah. So who's your starter? Who's your backup? There seems to be a consensus that Dylan Gabriel would be the starter.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dylan Gabriel is going to be the starter. I think Dante Moore is probably going to be the backup, and then I think it's a toss-up as to what the roster looks or the depth chart looks like after that. And I'm saying all of that as someone who knows next to zero again about Oregon football.
All right. Connor says Dante was committed to Oregon. Signing day flipped to UCLA. Then when Old Chipper left, he went to Oregon.
At some point, he was rumored to Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you're right. Okay. The next team. Let's see if I got this one right. Yes, I did. All right. Michigan. Go Blue. So we've got Jaden Davis, who is a freshman. Jaden Denegal, who is a junior. Alex Orji is a junior. Jack Tuttle is a grad student. Anthony Arnau is a senior, and Davis Warren is a senior. And all these guys are, man, at 6'1", Jaden Davis is the shortest one. Holy cow.
Jeez.
All right, same question. Who's your starter? Who's your backup?
All right. So, yeah, I think my starter is Alex Orji. The kid's a freak. He's a great athlete. We didn't get to see him throw the ball at all last year, which is kind of a bummer to me because I've heard that he has quite the arm. But what we do know is that he is apparently a really good stand-in for Jalen Milroe. So if he has that kind of arm and he's got that kind of athleticism, then he's the starter. What I want to see, so this was something that I was thinking about from the spring or from what I want to see in the spring game. I want to see him throw the ball because we need to see what kind of a zip and how much what kind of accuracy he has and stuff like that. My fear is that as good as I think he can be, he's still probably going to be a step backwards from JJ McCarthy, or he's going to be a different kind of quarterback, and under Sherrone Moore, the offensive philosophy is going to change enough that they're going to go more to Alex Orji's strengths. So there really isn't as much of a drop-off in performance or production as much as they're getting that production in a different way. He could be a really good RPO quarterback, provided his arm is a good enough weapon that defenses need to be prepared for that. So he's my starter. And then I think Jack Tuttle is my backup. Jack Tuttle does have legs. He can run. We could have seen that a little bit more last year, but Rutgers took a cheap shot at him and knocked him out. But in any case, Jack Tuttle led a few touchdown drives for Michigan last year. He's got a heck of an arm. He's got the experience. He knows what he's doing. He would be a solid backup, in my opinion. And then I think it goes to either Davis Warren or Jaden Davis.
Interesting. Okay.
And I'm only saying that because I don't know a lot about Jaden Denegal. I should look him up real quick.
So while you're doing that, guys in the chat, don't forget, just drop in there. Who do you guys pick as your starter and your backup for any of these teams as we're talking about them, as some of you have been doing already?
Mm-hmm.
I saw a video from Scott Fisher, who is either, I know he was a recruiter. He at least was a recruiter. I'm not sure if he's still a recruiter. But as a guy with recruiting experience, he has started a YouTube channel to talk recruiting. He actually picked, he figures Jaden Denegal will be the starter, and then Davis Warren would be the backup this year. And he actually thinks, or he said that Alex Orji will likely be a backup along with Davis Warren. And if I remember correctly, the reason he gave was that Alex Orji doesn't have the snap decisions capability that somebody like Jaden Denegal has. And and Jaden Denegal is the junior. Jaden Davis is the freshman. He sees Jaden Davis as probably starting next year.
Yeah. I could be okay with that.
Yeah.
The reason I like Alex Orji over Jaden Denegal, though, is because I think Alex Orji provides a little bit more of a dual threat.
Okay.
And again, I'm saying that despite the fact that we don't really know a lot about Jaden Denegal right now.
Right.
Maybe Alex Orji doesn't have the decision-making or didn't have the decision-making power of Jaden Denegal last season. But he's got more experience and he's had time to build that up. That's something that he can practice and he can get better at. The overall athleticism, that X factor type thing that they talk about, that's something that can't be coached and you can't really learn. You just kind of have. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that that's what gives Alex Orji the edge here, is that he's got some athleticism that Michigan's really going to need at quarterback, because if his arm isn't quite where JJ's was, then they're going to be relying on some quarterback runs to open up their offense a little bit more, because you can't just hand the ball off every time and keep the defense on their toes. Although they did with Penn State, so it might not matter. Who knows? But in any case, Jaden Denegal is actually an intriguing character here, because he's got 5 pass attempts last year and completed 4 of them. So for 80% completion percentage, for 50 yards and a 10-yard average. His long was 35. So that's pretty good. That's, for as limited playing time as he had, that's pretty good. Alex Orji didn't get any pass attempts last year. The Davis Warren bit, though, I find intriguing because I'm sure he's talented, but he had 5 pass attempts in 2023 and missed all of them, and in fact, one of them was an interception. So I don't see him as a backup. I see him as like 3rd or 4th string. Maybe he's gotten better. I don't know. But if you're worried about decision making, Davis Warren's not the answer based on his 23 stats.
Right. I mean, my pick doesn't matter, but I'm like you. I'm like I'd like to see Orji and Tuttle be number 1 and number 2. But it's for me, it's like the seniority, they've earned it. So it's like they're supposed to get it, but obviously that's not how it works.
No, the best players got to get it, but I still think that gives Alex Orji the edge. But I don't know. I mean, Jaden Davis, I'd like to see a situation where Alex Orji is out by halftime and Jaden Davis gets to play the entire second half, and then by next season he's the starter.
Well, that's one of the funny things you can say about JJ McCarthy. He hardly played last year.
I know, yeah. He was at one point the favorite for the Heisman, despite playing only like
half of every game.
Yeah.
All right, let's pick up some chats. Old Timer says, I like Orji. Denegal back up with Jaden Davis getting some playing time late in games, preparing him for down the road.
Okay.
Yeah. Antoine, I believe, is talking about Orji because earlier he said RPO all day. When he lacks in accuracy, he will make up with his legs and power. I think that's true. I think we saw that in Alex this past year. I think he was pushing pretty hard with those legs.
But what I've heard in spring practice is that Alex Orji does not have an accuracy issue. At least,
okay.
I mean, he might not be as accurate as JJ, but he doesn't have like a full-on issue with accuracy.
Yeah. I would just notice the physical difference between Orji and Tuttle. Orji is an inch shorter and 26 pounds heavier.
Jeez. Okay. He's a big boy.
Frederick Fields, our old friend, says Alex Orji is going to have a breakout year. I hope so.
All right.
He deserves it. He works hard. He's a good player.
Mm-hmm.
I like that kid.
I hope RG3 calls every Michigan game next year.
Yeah. Why?
Because of his comment when Alex Orji scored the touchdown.
Oh, there's an Orji in the end zone.
Yeah. Love it. Love that guy.
Antoine says it's not easy to stop RPO action with quick slants.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Quick decision making. That's going to catch the defense off guard.
Yeah, here's a good point. I've honestly seen so many different opinions from many articles and videos. I have no clue, except David likely starts next season.
Davis?
Davis,
maybe
probably
Jaden
Davis.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. This is all opinion right now, because we're going to see in spring practice, or not spring practice, but the spring game, which I believe is mid-April.
Yeah, I think so.
Mid-April, late April. All of this could change. We could see in that game Jack Tuttle might be at the bottom of the list rather than near the top. Things just change that fast. It's all opinion right now, and it all depends on if they stay healthy and how quickly they adapt to the new DC's system and all of that.
It's not a new system though.
Well, it's not a new system, but it's a new coach. So there's going to be a change.
Maybe some subtle nuances and stuff like that, but
right.
The overall picture stays the exact same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. Antoine says, I don't disagree with Jaden Denegal. Even if he is a starter, Orji will come in and run RPO. Yeah. Just like he did for JJ.
Right. That's fine.
What is this? Tom McCormick says, you better have a QB that can run with 5 new O linemen.
I mean, they've got reps. Like everybody that's playing this year for Michigan got reps last year. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Antoine is saying Tuttle is hurt.
Oh, really?
Does he get injured in practice?
I don't know. I didn't know that.
Tuttle already said he wants to be an assistant for Michigan. All right. Well, he's a grad student.
Okay.
Gus Johnson. Oh, is it Gus Johnson and not RG3 that said that?
No, with respect, go blue, go blue. I was watching that game. It was RG3.
It was RG3.
Yeah.
Old Timer says Coach Moore just said Orgy can throw, and Harbaugh said the same thing.
Boom.
All right. Oh, now my throat's drying out, man.
I know. Yeah. We don't usually go this long.
I know. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, Penn State. This is the right list for Penn State. And this is the one. Okay, so they have Penn State as the number 4 in the top 5. They're the number 4 as far as power rankings, which I always find fascinating. And I think this goes to the same thing that we said about Michigan prior to 2021, which is every year Harbaugh was there, Michigan was ranked in the top 5 and then just bottomed out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting so sick and tired of the hype that what I think it was actually in the summer before the 21 season started. That's when I was saying, you know, I'm going to watch the games, but I'm not real excited about it because Harbaugh just hypes everything and then nothing happens. And then of course 21 happened and I've been hooked ever since. But I feel like the same thing is happening at Penn State. Every year, James Franklin says, you know, we've got it. And they get, and the power rankings come out and they put them up high and they haven't done anything. I mean, so this is where we're at with Penn State.
Yeah. Well, you know, Penn State's got the talent. They've got, you know, most of the coaches. The issue is James Franklin. Yeah. The issue is that James Franklin calls some really questionable calls sometimes. Mm-hmm. He went for a 4th down against Michigan because the analytics say to go for it if you're this far from the first down line or, you know, whatever, go for 2 at this particular time because the analytics say to go for it. Well, the analytics don't know what's going on at that point in the game. The analytics can't measure momentum. So,
right.
Emotionally speaking, if your team's just not there, don't go for it. But so whatever. Anyway, that's go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, so in the chat, let us know who you think the starter and the backup are going to be for Penn State. And then Mac is going to tell you what his thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Aller is going to be the starter for sure. And I think that he'll have a good year. I mean, he completed 60% of his passes for 2,600 yards last year. That's a good year. I mean, that's a very good year. 2 interceptions, 25 touchdowns. That's a very good year. And I love that Penn State fans were so upset with Drew Aller for losing to Ohio State and Michigan, as if it wasn't James Franklin's play calling that did it for them. Like, come on, guys. In any case, the kid can run a little bit too. Like, he's actually not a bad runner, so he's a dual threat for the most part-ish. But I honestly have no clue who their backup's going to be.
Yeah.
I did not watch that much Penn State football last season. Why? Because Michigan was playing very well, so I didn't feel like I needed to drown my sorrows by living vicariously through another team. So I have no idea who their backup's going to be. My money is probably on, I think his name is pronounced Beau Pribula. It looks like out of the backups, he's got the most experience.
Now, is he a red shirt this year, or was he a red shirt when he's been a red shirt and now he's a sophomore?
Yeah, so I think he's academically a junior, but football-y, a sophomore. Football-y. Yeah.
So you think Drew Aller is the starter and Beau Pribula is likely the backup?
I think he's probably the backup.
All right. We've got Connor Stallions here says, well, for PSU, they just have to run an offense that makes sense and not a schmo like me can predict. Yeah. When those of us not at the game can see easily what's happening. Antoine agrees with you. James Franklin knows how to lose a game.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Penn State quarterbacks rarely take the next step outside of Trace McSorley.
Yeah, especially under James Franklin, too. I feel like you know what you're going to get with a Penn State quarterback, and they never really get that much better from year to year. Now, if Drew Aller has the same season this year as he did last year, then fine. But let's get some of the play call, or let's mix up some of the play calling. Let's maybe get a little bit more of the run game going, because the defense was solid. It's just Penn State's offense couldn't really move the ball against the better teams.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. I hesitate to say that Penn State really needs to get better on offense, because they honestly weren't that bad. But it was when they went up against Ohio State and Michigan, obviously, they couldn't really do anything. They did every once in a while, but they need to get more consistent. To me, it's putting your quarterback in the type of situation where he can be successful that James Franklin seems to miss every single time. Every single time he goes up against an Ohio State and a Michigan, with a few exceptions, he doesn't put his players in a good position. It's like he's not planning. He doesn't have any forethought to the play calling. He just kind of calls plays as they happen. Like, oh, it's 3rd and 4. Let's call a passing play. Well, are you on the opposing team's 15-yard line? Maybe you actually want to run. Because at that point it's 4th down and you're already deep in their territory. You don't really need to punt. Maybe you could try and go for it on 4th down and get the 1st down, and then boom, you're only 15 yards away from a touchdown. So he doesn't really think these things through, in my opinion. I feel like he's a very reactive coach and not a very proactive coach. That, to me, is the difference between a good and a great Penn State, is if he can plan better. Drew Aller is a good quarterback. He needs to be put in the right position.
Mm-hmm. Antoine says also James Franklin, the Oregon coach, constantly go for it when they don't need to.
Yes, that is correct.
Yep. The analytics say go, but that doesn't mean you're supposed to.
Doesn't mean you should.
Doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
All right, our last team, USC. Their debut year in the Big Ten. This is the other one we have to get used to, thinking of USC as a Big Ten team. You know what? And I'm thinking too that for all the teams that have been in the Big Ten forever, Oregon and USC pop in, and all of a sudden they're in the top 5.
Yeah,
that's gotta
really
hurt. That's gotta hurt. They have only 4 quarterbacks. I got to back up. This is Lincoln Riley's 3rd season, and he is 19-8 at OSU. Or I'm sorry, USC.
OSU.
There are no freshmen on this list, which I think is interesting, because that means they've got a gap year in there, and they're going to have to find a transfer. But that'll be for next season, I'm guessing. So right now they have Miller Moss, Jaden, I want to say it's Mayava, and Jake Jensen and Gage Roy. Who's your starter? Who's your backup? Also, for everybody in the chat, who's your starter? Who's your backup?
Which one is okay? Gage Roy, I believe. Nope, not Gage Roy. Jaden Maya. Huh.
I think it's Maeva.
Maeva? Oh, is that a V? Oh, my bad. Jaden Maeva, I believe, is a transfer, but I don't know from where. I don't know from where. So I'd be curious to find out where he came from. But that being said, Miller Moss has been the backup to Caleb Williams for 3 years now? A few years. 2 years. 2 years. But he doesn't actually have that much experience in the... Oh, I'm sorry. He's been the backup to Caleb Williams for 2 seasons, but he's been there for 3 seasons. So he has... Okay, so he knows Lincoln Riley. He knows Lincoln Riley's system. That's fine. The twister in all of this is that USC lost their 5-star quarterback recruit, Malachi Nelson, to the transfer portal. So he was going to be the favorite to start. Moss Miller should have been his backup, but he transfers, and so now Moss Miller, I believe, is going to be the starter. That's my opinion. I think Moss Miller has the experience.
Miller Moss. It's the names are backwards here.
Oh,
Sorry about that. That's my fault.
Moss Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah, well. Yeah, I think Miller Moss is probably going to be the starter, but
All right.
I think that there's probably not a lot of distance between him and Jaden Maeva. Now, I'm going to look up Jaden Maeva real quick to figure out where he came from. But
UNLV. I looked it up. He's from UNLV.
Oh, did he play against Michigan last year then?
Oh, yeah. I guess he must have.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's intriguing. Jaden Maeva has a 63.5% completion percentage for 3,085 yards with a 17-10 touchdown interception ratio. That's not great, but that's a lot of yards.
Yeah.
That's intriguing. Okay. What does he do rushing wise? He's not a very big rusher. Doesn't really run the ball a lot. But that's okay. That's intriguing. I still want to say Miller Moss is going to be the starter just because he's got the experience in Lincoln Riley's system. But Jaden Maeva, if he takes a step forward in spring ball, he has as much of a claim to the starting position as Miller Moss would. The question is, are either of these guys as good as Caleb Williams, or is there about to be a massive drop-off? I mean, because they already need help on defense. I believe they're getting it. So that'll be a question mark. So, and then if they have a drop-off in quarterback play, though, are they going to be right back where they started? I don't think that that's really going to be the case, though, because Lincoln Riley is a really smart offensive mind. His defenses, just for the most part, have really never been good. But from what I understand anyway. But that being said, yeah, I guess my final answer then is Miller Moss as the starter, Jaden Maeva as the backup right now. But that could be switched.
Connor Stallions says Miller Moss starts until the ball game versus Louisville shine wears off, and then Maeva will jump in unless Maeva transfers, I'm guessing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But USC can't afford for anybody to transfer. I said,
quarterback at this point. Yeah.
They do not have a full bench here. I mean, at least for growth in the coming years. They've got all juniors here. If the redshirt sophomore is actually, well, I guess so. They've got a sophomore and 3 juniors. So maybe they're okay for next year, but they're not developing anybody for the year after.
I feel like they were riding that Caleb Williams high a little too long.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that they were riding that high just a tad bit too long and didn't exactly prepare for him leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe that's why they brought in Jaden Maeva, but who's going to win the starting position then? I don't know. But what they really can't afford is a drop off in quarterback play,
right?
At this point either.
Yeah. So, dude, I think that's going to wrap it up.
Are you tired?
Goodness gracious. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us. That was, man, we had a lot of chats going there. That was great. Appreciate everybody chiming in. Love the conversation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your friends and family. We are shooting for that 750 subscribers. I don't know if we got any during this, but
you can check super quickly if you want.
You can check. All right, go for it.
Yeah, let's see.
Let us know what you want to talk about in the coming weeks. We are actually UNLV transfer. Wait a minute. Hold on. Connor was piping in about where he came from. UNLV transfer, as Homer Simpson says. Dope.
That's funny.
Let us know what you want to talk about in the coming weeks. Obviously, I mean, the stories come up, we pull them up, but if there's anything in particular you guys are interested in us looking into, we're more than happy to do that. Like I said, we're not professionals and we're not insiders, but we are pretty good at searching for things. And we love to know what you guys want to talk about.
We are really good at talking about things we don't understand.
Oh yeah, we
The-
are in fact experts at that. I will tell you right now.
We are experts at not understanding very much. we jumped 6 subscribers this stream, so we're up
Hey,
to
all right.
712. Yeah, thank
Nice.
you, everybody. That's awesome. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks everybody out there. Next week is Easter, so celebrate Christ's resurrection and be with your families. We are not going to do a live stream next Sunday night, but God willing and the creek don't rise, we have a video. Is that right? Yeah, God willing and the creek don't rise.
I think.
We have a video we're going to release. It's a special video. It's a little bit more of a comedy thing. Hopefully it'll be funny. Anyway, we're going to release that Sunday night in place of the live stream. We will be back. We will be back the week after that. I think that's about it. Mac, you got anything else?
Connor Stellings is still an American hero.
Naturally.
Got to figure out how we're gonna market that shirt. No, that's about it for me. Thanks, everybody.
That's about it. Thank you, Connor. Yes, we agree. We're all dummies.
We're all dummies.
That's gonna do it for us. Have fun. Have a great week. Mac, take us out.
This is the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show. Thanks, everybody.